And what time do we call order?
7 a.m.
Okay. Ms. Joy Beers? Present. Mr. Richard Belts?
Here.
Mr. David Bradley?
Here.
Mr. Stephen Holland?
Here.
Mrs. Gail Mahalik? Here. Mrs. Rita Spinelli? Here. Mr. Wayne Wentz?
Here.
Mr. Andy Answer?
Here.
Mr. Larry Stern?
Here.
All present.
Yes, presentations this evening, we do have 3 of them. We are going to start with Ms. Carrie Miller, our school social worker. We'll talk about the program No Bad Attendance program.
I'm also joined by the other school social worker, Ms. Carrie Penny, as well. So they'll be with us. We have a PowerPoint to go with our discussion, so you can look at some of the pictures. I'm also passing out a flyer that we have made. Okay, so No Bad Attendance, or otherwise known as NBA, is a program we started to address the at-risk students that we have. And we started the program in the middle school. And it is coordinated with Apollo Farms in Palmerton. It's a horse farm, and we take 6 kids out there for an 8 weeks program, and it's for equine therapy. As you can see, that is Clem. Working with horses has ability to increase skills for relationships, safety skills, awareness of self, verbal and nonverbal communication, team building, confidence, problem solving, and work ethic. So over the summer, we had 2 high schoolers and 5 middle schoolers, and then this fall, we had the 8-week session with just middle schoolers, and there's our 6 middle schoolers that went. They were chosen if they fit the category of at-risk. At-risk behaviors could be truancy, failing grades, emotional needs, low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, mental health. They were all there for different reasons, and they were there to combat whatever it was that brought them in. We talked with them first, explained why they were in the program, got parent permission, and then they joined us in the farm. So, gaining the trust of the horses, they learn to groom, mount, and ride them. The students learn that as long as they listen and follow instructions given, these acts might not be as intimidating as they seemed initially, so combating the trust of the horses. They also learn that focusing and completing the tasks on hand in equine therapy will help them transfer over into school. So if they didn't listen to their instructor, their lessons, they could be harmed. The horses can be dangerous. So they learned how to have safety, focusing. Like I said, there were some students in there that focusing was their goal. So that could carry over to school. These horses are rather large. I know the picture is not really showing justice. Some of them, their backs were up to here. They're show jumpers. For those of you that know horses, 16 hands, 16.3 hands. Listening and understanding with empathy requires paying attention to the other person's opinion. So the other part of the program was having the students learn to think outside of themselves. So we focused on the word mindfulness, being aware, self-centered, how they can take that into class if they are anxious or depressed. That horse there has never come up to somebody right away. So as you see, he came right up to him. That was his first time meeting him the first day at the farm. So that was huge for him, both of them.
I think it's important to note a lot of the students, we've identified at-risk students, but some of these horses have their own stories. And this was actually a horse who was previously abused. So this was kind of like a big moment for not only the student, but for the horse as well. So it's pretty incredible to witness.
The horses elicit a range of emotions as well. So picking up on their emotions, that was the biggest thing that should be focused on with mindfulness, that if you go in anxious, troubled, worried, concerned, the horses can pick up on that. So getting themselves centered to brush and tack and ride the horses. So they learned how the horses could be there for them and they could be there for the horses. The reason why we started this program was to not only address attendance was a main one, but emotional stability. For some of these students, they had trauma in their lives. So students who meet regularly with mentors are 52% less likely than their peers to skip a day of school, 37% likely to skip a class. So at the end of this program, they are all paired up with a mentor that's in the middle school, so they will follow them, they can check in with them. We're going to have monthly meetings and lunches. Youth who meet regularly with their mentors are 46% less likely than their peers to start using drugs, 27% less likely to start drinking. And the biggest one was looking in the future for high school. 76% at-risk young adults who had a mentor are more likely to enroll and graduate from college versus half of at-risk young adults who had no mentor. So the biggest part was how can this program continue on once they're done with the 8 weeks. We didn't want it to just end or just stop there. So we just wanted to show you this. We just finished last Thursday. We were very proud of the kids and how they handled it and how well they did it. So we brought a little bit of that here, and so you can learn a little bit about equine therapy and the Apollo Farms. We're looking to get another grant. So the program will be middle of April into May, so it'll be another 8 weeks. And that's where we end. I just want to thank, they're not here, Mr. Ebert and Mr. Brown for helping us arrange there's the mentors there with their kids, so they met in the last day. And now the mentors will take that part over for us from this point on, meeting up with them, checking in with them if they're absent or if they have failing grades. Mr. Brown and Mr. Ebert have been really kind to us in helping us mold this program. And Mr. Cleaver for letting us go with this crazy idea. We thank you. So, I don't know do you have any questions? The next group of kids that we pick, I just want to say we're going to have more mental health focus, being it's going to be the end of the school year, and we found a rise in suicide rate and depression increases in April. So those 8 kids, those 6 kids will focus again on that mental health. Yes.
I just want to say thank you for taking the initiative to do this.
Oh, you're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
Yeah, and as it says up there, we thank BOTAC Foundation and the Orioles for supplying some of the needed funding to support the program as well.
Thank you.
And always looking for additional funding, so if anyone's any,
We have a couple aside.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Good evening, everyone. My name is Susan Benjakowski. I'm a regional manager for the nutrition group for your cafeteria food service provider. And this is Lauren Williams, Lauren Villa, recently got married. She is your on-site food service director. I just want to thank you for allowing us to come and give you a brief presentation about what we're going to do in 18 and 19. First, I'd like to start off with some highlights from last year. Lauren did a fantastic job with the cafeteria program in 17-18, and I'm sure she'll do a fantastic job again this year in 18-19. And this slide demonstrates a few of the things that Lauren created for us last year. The top 10% banquet, the academic achievement awards, and another catering. She also did a nutrition education program with Molly DeCal. Molly would be up there visiting students. In the top photo, I believe she's dabbing. And then we have some food fun that we had last year. Tasty Bites, Wednesday, some specialty items, your New Year's Day, or welcome back to school after the holidays, pork and crowd dinner, and some specialty pizzas. Back by popular demand this year are some programs we've had in the past. We have Lunch for Life. Lauren did that September 24th, the week of September 24th. That is a program where our first full year students, or kindergarten students typically, receive lunch complimentary, and they get to learn the flow of the cafeteria. So they become comfortable with it and want to be lifelong participants in the cafeteria. Recipe of the Month. We've been doing that for several years, and it gets a lot of good feedback from the students. We're continuing it again this year. This year, Lauren so far has done the sweet and spicy barbecue chicken bowl, and she did it in September. In October, she did a buffalo chicken Alfredo, which I understand was very popular. In November, she just recently did a chicken tomato bake, which was truly new for this year, and I understand Lauren said it was a very big hit with the students. Okay. And I know in October, she also did a French onion chicken sandwich, and I know I was here that day visiting the district, and we sampled that, and the corporate trainer and I were here. And it was delicious. And Sheila said it was a very big success at that school.
Yeah.
Wellness Wednesday is a program we've run for years. We take creative new recipes, and they're fruits and vegetables that we like to have the new students, the youngest students, try, so they can expand their palate and just try different things. Since the recipes lend themselves so well to fruit and vegetable bars, and high school and middle school students seem to like them, we've also incorporated them into those daily menus as well. Some of the items that Lauren's done this year have been oven roasted carrots, broccoli salad, and sweet and sour 2-bean salad. Tasty Bites is something that we've added this year. At the elementary level, it's a component of the meal. At the middle school and high school level, it's an a la carte. And Farm to Fork, we've done that for several years. That's where we source locally grown produce, serve it in the cafeteria, whether it be on our fruit and vegetable bars or as part of the regular meal. And we have a harvest feast at the end of the Farm to Fork program. And I understand you had it during your snowstorm last week, so. Something else we're doing for 2018, 2019, we're revamping our lines, giving them a little bit of a fresher, cleaner look. NutriSlice is something the district was brought into the district 2 or 3 years ago. This is a digital menu app. You can use it on your smartphone, your tablet, or your computer, and you can pull up the menu of the day, the menu of the month, the week, whatever you like, and you can view what the products look like. It also has nutritional information, allergy information. The digital programming itself is really very vast and has a lot of good applications for it. Some of the things we're doing to innovate sales and drive participation this year, again, recipe of the month. That's the featured French onion chicken salad that we had, sandwich. And food fusion. This is something our chefs created, and it's right off the food truck craze. And the kids really seem to be enjoying it. I know this year so far, Lauren's done a loaded breakfast waffle. Breakfast for lunch is a very popular entree at all grade levels, so this is a twist on that. The popcorn mashed potato chicken bowl is also another very popular menu item. This is the way it's served in a waffle cone. And Lauren said there was a lot of great feedback for that as well. And then we also had a teriyaki burger. So throughout the rest of the school year, you'll see more recipe of the month and a few food fusion on your recipes, and you can check them out on NutriSlice if you want to. Summer Seminar is a training program that our food service directors, regional managers, our leadership team, and the entire company come together. And we have a 2-day training seminar where we network and brainstorm about what we're going to do in the future and where we're going, and and discuss the changes in the National School Breakfast and Lunch Program. Professional Development Training Day. With the implementation of the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act came professional development training for all food service staff workers. This is a unique hands-on platform that the nutrition group offers to all of its cafeteria staff. We get together in various locations and we train on a numerous number of topics. This year we did an active shooter training, we did food safety, compliance with the Healthy Hunger Free Kids Act, as well as customer service, and a couple of other topics. So looking to the future, what can you expect from your cafeteria services? Well, you can look to us to face the challenges that face us every day. A couple of the biggest challenges we have in the food service industry are ever-changing customer dynamic, as well as retaining hourly employees. So Professional Development Day is a start to helping them train so they understand the expectation and their job. And then for our ever-changing customer needs, we try to introduce new topics and new marketing into our cafeteria services. Moving forward into 1819 and 1920, you will see a new approach in the cafeterias, or a new marketing design with fresh sheets, with a different type of program geared toward each educational level. And then again, we have our ongoing training for our hourly employees. We have a 5-level training program for our employees. It starts when we hire them, and it goes right through into, they can be an hourly, they can be a head cook, they can be a kitchen manager, and if they so desire, we'll actually train them to join the management team and become a food service director. As the nutrition group, we really want to make moments that matter for our students, for our administrations, and our districts that we service. So we try to take all these things and blend them into programs that work and work well for your districts. So that's who we are. We are the nutrition group, and I want to again thank you for allowing us to give you this presentation this evening. Did you have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
presenter is Miss Susan Anthony to talk about the Lions Club and the eyesight program that they were able to run here in our school district.
Great. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm here to give the total findings from the Lehighton Elementary Center that we just have completed near the end of October. So with the 2 days and the 1 day for the absentees and to finish the 1 grade, our total findings from the Lions KidSight program are as follows. So the students' total screened were 818. The total number that passed was 726. And there were 92 refers, which is about 11.2% of the students were referred. So breakdown of the refers are as follows. There was 13 with gaze deviations. There was 15 with anisometropia, which is unequal prescription in each eye. 5 with anisocoria, is unequal pupil size in each eye. There was 38 with astigmatism, which is difficulty focusing. And there was 21 with common prescription issues, such as far or nearsighted. So a copy of all the refers was given to the school nurses, as well as a copy of the vision screening itself was sent home with every student that was screened. So as per the KidSight Committee of the district, we're very interested in doing and accommodating the district for the state mandated vision screening per year at no cost. We supply all our own paper, our own ink, we bring our printers. Now we do have 4 cameras that are available within the district. So with 4 cameras, and we only had 2 at the dates that were rescheduled, the other 2 were in Tamaqua. So, but at any other time we would have 4. So within the 4 cameras, that means there would be 4 students screened within 30 seconds. That's all it takes. So anybody that was over there at the elementary center and seen it, it takes seconds. And it's very quick. It is very to the point. They take that paper to their optometrist. They can read it, and they know. Normally, a test like this will cost money at the optometrist to receive that same exact test. And also what this would do would free up the nurses 100% of their time so that they can attend 100% of the students. Most of the people all of the people that come in to do the screenings were all our background checks. We're all trained on the cameras. There might be 2 that are only there for the printers. But there's like 6 to 8 of us that are trained on the cameras. So we would certainly have no problem with that. Like I said, the 4, and getting the students done, you could bring a classroom in, an average of 22 to 25 students. We could have that class done within 10-15 minutes, and they're all done. So with that being said, I don't want to take up any more of your time, but we certainly want to thank the district for allowing us to come in and do the elementary center. And the staff was like phenomenal. They cooperated very well with us, you know, taking the calls during their classes, bringing their students to us in the LGI room. It was wonderful to see that. And the students were also great. So we're looking forward to doing the rest. If you would like us to do that, we're certainly there. We're available at anytime you need us. Again, thank you.
Do we get any dates set for the middle school?
We do not. We're going to work through them with the nurses and everything to get the middle school and high school set up. We also have been in contact with Tamaqua, our school nurses, to see how their process works and to get, because Tamaqua does use that group as part of the state mandate requirement for vision screening. So
It would make sense because it does a better job. And it also does the nonverbal students. So it's a win-win.
And Tamaqua did say that it was very, worked very well for them, and they do appreciate all the time and effort that your group does to do their district as well.
That didn't make it into the director's concerns to add this program into our school to be that state mandated test?
Is it on there?
Doesn't seem like it is. I remember That was talked about last month to be able to do that. Did you guys find out it can be done? We looked at it.
Requirement for video screening, so.
It would make sense because it does a better job. And it also does the nonverbal students. So
Absolutely. Yep.
it's a win-win.
And Tomato did say that it was very, worked very well for them, and they do appreciate all the time and effort that your group does to do their district as well.
That didn't make it into the director's concerns to add this program into our school to be that state mandated test?
Is it on there?
Doesn't seem like it is. Remember, that was talked about last month to be able to do that. Did you guys find out it can be done? We looked at it. Right, other districts are doing it, as you
Correct,
said.
yeah.
But why didn't that one make it onto the agenda?
I must have missed that one out of the other emails that we get hit with on a daily basis.
Gail, you want to bring it up under new business?
Well, we currently have it for our high school and middle school, it will be scheduled too, but again, as far as the state mandate, that would be different.
But it meets the state mandate's requirements.
Yeah, it's actually up to the district to decide whether it does or whether it doesn't. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, I have three courtesy to the floor on agenda items. First up will be Barbara Bowers. If you motion that, concerning public comment at the end of the meeting. Motion to have under miscellaneous.
Okay, once again, I'm here. We've got a comment on motion F. Last month, we had motion K, which was to spend money without authorization of the board until after the fact, and maybe spend money again to undo what was done. I had a question. Motion K last month was under financial matters, but at this month's meeting, motion F is under miscellaneous, but it's to spend money. I'm assuming we all read the resolution that's under motion F. And to paraphrase it, it's $165 an hour to block rights and no requests, among other things. One thing I'd like to state, I was looking at the PSBA stuff. And they have a publication called The Essentials of Parliamentary Procedure. And it says it's a survival guide for Pennsylvania school boards. I found it very interesting. One of the things I pulled out was essential functions of the chairperson, and in this case, the president. The person presiding over any meeting is referred to as the chairperson or chair. For a school board, usually it is the board president. The chairperson has both specific parliamentary procedure duties as well as other critical roles that can make the difference between meetings that get business accomplished efficiently and those that become messy and ineffective. Some of the essential functions listed below in italics are not taken directly from Robert's rules, but reflect techniques used by experienced chairpersons that can help make meetings work better. And this is one that I pulled out. And this is in italics. Insist on scrupulous adherence to the requirements of the Sunshine Act, Ethics Act, and other applicable laws. In that vein, it amazes me that a motion would be brought to spend $165 an hour to find a way to avoid complying with the law. But someone this board would vote down free training by the Office of Open Records on the Sunshine Act and right to know requests. Do you not see how ludicrous is this? The community does. Then there are email comments like the one from a board member stating, I have no desire to upset the procedure unless it favors Mr. Cleaver. Really? Not the students, not the teachers, Mr. Cleaver. Do you not see that if the district was transparent, if you followed the law with strict adherence as stated by the PSBA, we would not be hearing my comments now, nor would this conversation even be necessary. It is simple, straightforward concept. One final comment, neither the resolution nor the motion mention from which budget these charges, if any, will be paid. I would suggest that you add that information to the motion. Thank you.
Next up, the You think, Ms. Bose, you'd like to speak at the end of the meeting as well?
Maybe.
Okay.
It depends on
Okay,
what.
I'll hold it then. Thank you.
Okay, just depends on what occurs.
Ms. Bowman?
You're gonna get tired of hearing me say the same thing, I'm afraid. Last month, I spoke about procedures and protocol about motions under director's concerns. This month again, the number of director's concerns posted on this agenda should have all of us asking, what is the purpose of these motions? So many of these items could be addressed in committee meetings, but it appears that one individual on the board is choosing to play God and looking for things that don't exist without using appropriate teamwork. As a team, one person does not control the entire board in the process of conducting board business. It is very sad that so much time is wasted at board meetings to conduct what appears to be witch hunting without keeping the focus on our students and education. All committee meetings, except personnel, are open to the public where there is courtesy of the floor. The Personnel committee is confidential, and when that committee does meet, that information goes back to executive session. I know one particular board member does not choose to believe this and will hide behind right-to-know requests under the transparency umbrella. I have personally completed a right-to-know request on a number of requests by Mr. Bradley and the potential cost to taxpayers. I am sure many of those requests could be satisfied as a board member by asking for copies of PSSA data, contracts. You just go in and ask for those. You have the right to all of them. I believe that Mr. Bradley is continuously choosing to create chaos and alienation on this board. We all know that specific requests that may be confidential cannot be released without having a major lawsuit against this district. This is just common sense. No board member has the right to invade one's privacy. So again, I am respectfully asking all board members to use the power of committee work, stay focused, be patient, and get back to the business of educating our students and quit wasting time and energy and taxpayer dollars. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bowman. Next, Mr. Bradley.
I have two that I want to discuss. First of all, I'd like to reply to the last person. Policy dictates that any request for information, there you go. Policy dictates that any request for information, even if it's written in crown on a paper plate, has to go to the right-to-know officer prior to it being given to even a board member. Why that policy is in place, we have no idea. We're trying to fix it. But currently, that's the obstructionist problem that we're trying to solve. I'm looking at two motions that I want to make sure that we're aware of, because again, some of these things should go through committee. One of them says, due to the extended period between meetings over the holiday, the business administration and treasurer are hereby authorized to pay all bills of the school district in their discretion without further board authorization until the next regular meeting. This board has a responsibility and a duty. It's listed in the financial section of the Pennsylvania Code. It's to review all those bills. It's the 20th century. There's no problem with emailing and giving a list of all the bills that need to be reviewed. And to have a board meeting during any period to be able to get those things paid. I think that by giving an individual the right to do our job is wrong. Similar activity took place in a meeting between the superintendent and one of our board members. I believe that's wrong. Item F is to approve the attached resolution of King's Bride, which talks about pursuit of course repeated records that have created unnecessary burden on the district. The law is very clear in the right-to-know request. First of all, the government that oversees the administration should be able to have access, as Ms. Bowman described, to the information without having to file a right to know. We are given hundreds of pages at every meeting, but the pages we want to see, like how much we're spending on our solicitor, how much we're spending on credit cards like they're happening in other districts, how much is being spent on different items to make sure that we do our due diligence, is being cast aside and hidden and obstructed by our administration. Now, I asked for certain right to knows, and even if they are as simple as a contract, I've been met with obstructions. Now, with that being said, it looks like the district is on a witch hunt, that it would like to hereby appoint an individual firm as special counsel to the board to bring legal action in response to a citizen concerning their rights to know request, which is their legal right. To me, that makes no sense at all. And it looks like certain people on this board are using their individual authority to create a witch hunt on those of us trying to make this district follow and comply with the law. Now, we have a legal responsibility.
Wrap it up, Mr. Bradley.
Yes, sir. We have a legal responsibility. To neglect that responsibility is wrong. Is it wrong? Thank you.
Thank you. On the communications, superintendent's report, Mr. Cleaver.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to, we weren't able to make it to the fall break without a snow day. Unfortunately, the makeup day will be January 21st. I would like to thank the snow removal crew for their efforts. The snow was heavy, and our crew was able to plow through and get the grounds cleaned up for the start of school. And as always, the show must go on, and the show did go on at the middle school that evening. So everyone had an opportunity to see the play, the musical, they did a great job. I also wanted to just quick talk about the PALS program. That is one of the programs we talked about several years ago. I know Ms. Patty Ebert did a presentation about the high school students, how they are going to the elementaries, work with the elementary students, and do a lot of programs with them. And one of the things we always ran into conflict was with transportation. With the convenience of the high school and the elementary school being in such close proximity, we had 55 students apply to be PALS this year, which is the most we've ever had. Once they go through the process and do the event and see that the students all meet the criteria that's required, we may have enough for an assignment of one high school kid per classroom, which is a great opportunity.
There's 50 of them over today for their orientation. We'll start after Thanksgiving break next week.
So we will have 50 of them then to be involved.
Having to do orientation with them.
Thank you. So again, it's just a great opportunity, a great program we're able to offer to our kids. I wanted to bring the attention of the board regarding the cost and time spent being incurred with all the right to know requests we have been getting. As you are aware, last November approval, November 2017, approval was given for overtime with current staff and additional staff if needed. We have been making a good faith effort to meet the requests and deadlines, but we are beginning to see issues with the amount of similar requests from month to month. For example, again, my emails are being requested from Mr. Bradley. For just half the month, there are 608 pages of information that has to be reviewed. And again, that's just half the month. So you're looking at 1,200 pages of information that needs to be reviewed because of these requests being made by Mr. Bradley. So I don't know how requesting my emails is going to benefit the district or any benefit for the students, but I want the board to be aware that that is continuing to happen. Again, the concern I have with this request is private student, staff, and community members' information being shared. We've had several staff members and parents as well send information to me that they are concerned about the emails being requested, and that is becoming a distraction to our day-to-day operations. In addition, the cost to our district is becoming very concerning. In past email via request, right to know for several of our administrative staff emails, which is now being forwarded to court, Mr. Bradley has already cost this district over $6,000 for that process, and that is even before the court case takes place. There will also be time where we'll have to meet with everything, and then it'll go on, again, additional billing for this type of right to know request. The security tape request via right to know from Mr. Bradley and Mrs. Bose has cost the district over $3,500. Then we have additional amounts of over $2,500 to the district and other requests from Mr. Bradley over the past 3 months. I bring this information to the board because it has become more and more of a disruption to the general day-to-day operations of our districts and our right-to-know staff, who have put in 33 hours of overtime over the last 3 months. As a board, we are aware of the most recent appeal to the OOR from Mr. Bradley. The appeal request was found in favor of the district. This was for the security tape for a board meeting where we supplied Mr. Bradley with the audio tape at which he videotaped the meeting. Security tapes show, excuse me, it's hard for everyone to hear when we, if I can hear you talking, I could probably hear. Security tapes show where the police presence is during the meeting and what is uncovered during the meeting. Safety of our residents and at our meetings are paramount. Under a recent law, since we have school police officers, the Right to Know Act does not apply to video or audio regarding created by the district. The legislator has determined by statute that we are now a law enforcement agency which does not have to release security tapes filmed in our facilities. However, Mr. Bradley did respond back to the Office of Open Records attorney and mentioned the wording absurd, in which the Office of Open Records felt the district was simply attempting to categorize the school as a law enforcement agency, and thus requiring requesters to use the more restrictive provisions. So what they were saying is that they felt it was absurd that we were using that as one of our arguments, which is the opinion of the Office of Open Records. The fact that the response back to the state and the ORR was such a way that the process, I felt, was a joke and wasted a lot of people's times. The response of absolutely love it, absurd, just fantastic, God bless you, P.S. I'm framing this one, made my day. That was the response to the Office of Open Records. Just this one mentioned scenario has cost the district thousands of dollars in legal fees and has consumed additional time for district staff, and then to get follow-up comments from Mr. Bradley is unfortunate that taking up valuable staff time and costing the district thousands of dollars in unbudgeted money seems to be a joke for some individuals. This type of continued nonsense and what I would consider harassment towards our right-to-know officer and other district employees and/or board members needs to stop. As superintendent of this district, I will not sit back and ignore such continued actions and/or behavior from anyone, even if they think they have the right because they're an elected official. This is one of the reasons I am requesting a resolution such as item F under miscellaneous on the board agenda. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Finance report, Mr. Pike?
Yes, I'm working on the...
Before you move on, I have a question for Mr. Cleaver's report.
Sure.
Mr. Stern, can I have the floor? I asked for it, but thank you. So you said that they spent almost $8,000 on right-to-know requests. Who does that money go to?
We are spending the money.
Yeah, so who do we spend it with?
The school solicitor and/or the hourly fees that we're paying our staff. And that's not even including the amount of time that myself or Mr. Blake had involved in these right-to-know requests.
And we hire a right-to-know officer, correct?
Yes, the officer that I did recommend that feels harassed and feels her job is threatened by the emails you sent them. That is correct.
Okay. And that person is trained to comply with the right-to-know law?
Correct.
So why do we let the solicitor get involved? Because his solicitor, hold on, let me finish. Because his solicitor report here says that he's reviewing everything. I mean, he literally gets every right-to-know request, including live streaming, cancellation of committee minutes, right-to-know concerning tax reports and employee salary from benefits, even the decision by the ORR. Are we sending him to him?
That is correct. Anytime there is any question, anything that deals with you goes directly to our solicitor because of the fact that you have constantly sent information and filed complaints legally. So on the behalf of the district and the safety of the district, I recommend it to the right-to-know officer. Anything that comes from you is forwarded to our district solicitor because of the concern I have for liability issues.
So you're generating this bill by the solicitor instead of just complying with the right-to-know law and providing the information as requested?
Yes, and keeping the district safe. Thank you.
But keeping the district safe from all these bills that you're sending to the solicitor rather than just providing the information under the Sunshine Act that's legally allowed to be asked and was already determined by the state to say, yeah, you give them the information. You can actually give them the information before they ask, and it costs the district no money. saving thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because you want to block transparency. And instead of blocking the transparency, we could embrace transparency, saving this district tens of thousands of dollars a year, hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, that was going directly to lawyers instead of going to our students.
No, actually what I'm doing is keeping the staff and the students and the information from parents as safe as I possibly can, because again, you're requesting my emails, Mr. Bradley, so of course we're gonna have someone review them and make sure that nothing is released inappropriately, because everyone knows you post them on the website, you post them wherever you do, and so God forbid if something is released to you and then you post it, on the website related to a student issue or a faculty issue, could cost the district lots of money. So yes, those do get forwarded to review to make sure that we are correct in what we can and cannot release. So again, how requesting my emails is saying you're blocking your request. My question to you, Mr. Bradley, is I shouldn't answer a question with a question, but I am. That's inappropriate. But what are you looking for by requesting my emails? What is so out there? You've done it how many times now? You have the information, and again, what are you looking for that you're requesting my emails?
Thank you for asking. I'm looking for transparency within our government school by our government. And through that transparency, we have found that you guys are having special meetings, backdoor JJ's office meetings. We find out that the information that you're sharing between yourself and, at that time, Mrs. Bowman, to try to prevent those people from having the right to speak by orchestrating a combined effort to prevent them from wanting to speak. And we're also finding out that the relationship between yourself and other individuals within the district may or may not be cause for concern. So, the reason that we have a transparent district by law is so that those people that we represent have the information. Now, as far as redaction, you are skilled in redacting a student's ID, using a student number. You're also skilled in understanding the difference between what is allowed to be given out or not allowed to be given out. And the fact that you're going to hide behind a solicitor that we're paying for, rather than just doing the job of either a superintendent or a right-to-know officer, tells me that we can get some free training from OR to teach you guys how to do it like all the other districts do, saving a fortune rather than using Schwab's office as a clearinghouse for district taxpayer funds to exploit the right-to-know law. If somebody asks, anyone in this district asks for information of this administration or the district, any information, even if it's written on a paper plate in crayon. I'm an American, I'll go crayon. If you write it in crayon, it still has to go to the right-to-know officer rather than answering that parent or that individual. This is the most obstructive board inside of the state that I have found because of those policies and procedures that this district has adopted to silence those people, to not give them the right to the information when they have that right provided to them by the state. Fighting me does not make any financial sense when the Sunshine Act and the law is on the side of those people.
Thank you.
President's report, I'll keep it short. You have all the reports in your packet from the supporting buildings and functions. One of the things I'd like just to tell again, I reiterate it to the audience, if you want to find out the good things that are going on in all of our buildings, high school, middle school, and the elementary center, is to follow them on Twitter. You'll see the information about how the meetings today by Ms. Ever. You'll see the presentations concerning veterans. You'll see the presentations that are going on at the high school. You'll see the activities with honor societies, Red Cross. You'll see all those types of things so you can stay up and involved with what's going on in our school district. So it takes hardly a minute. Every day you just take 5 minutes and check what's going on. You'd be surprised at all the good things that are happening in our environment. Ms. Mahalik, library report, please.
Okay. The Lehighton Memorial Library was awarded a $21,618 local share account grant. The grant covered the cost of asbestos abatement and other needed upgrades to the library. Asbestos tiles were removed, new carpeting was installed, and energy-efficient shades have been added through this funding. This funding was in addition to the $169,699 Keystone grant it recently received for the building addition. The next step is to work on bids, zoning issues, and permits. The library has programs. Story time is on Wednesdays at 10:30 and Thursday at 6 o'clock. One-on-one computer help. And at 6 o'clock on Thursday is a book club. The third, oh, I have this mixed up. Book club is a third Wednesday at 1 o'clock. New this month is recycled book crafts for adults at 6 p.m. Thursday, and STEAM Saturdays are held for 1st through 6th grades at 11 a.m. the first Saturday of the month. Okay, and that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Spinelli, legislative policy.
I don't have very much. Most of what happened since the last meeting was election-related results and everything. But the State Board of Education is beginning to work to revise teacher certification rules and adopt a master plan for basic education. The new graduation reforms have been signed into law. It establishes a performance-based system that provides rigorous assessment strategies under 4 options for students to show that they are ready to graduate. That has started, and again, most of what else is in the report is all election-related. So that concludes my report. Thank you.
Ms. Bowman, do you have a Title I report?
I do.
Thank you.
I did send it.
I know, I
Did you get it?
lost
It's
it.
in the FYI. Okay, thank you.
Sorry.
No problem, no problem. The Title I Parent Advisory Council met on Tuesday, November 13th at 6:30 p.m. in the center. Although a small group was in attendance, we welcomed a new parent to the council, Holly Solt. And the purpose of the council was explained with quarterly meetings identified by Mr. Tack. Reference of the SPAC website was provided. New letters to parents were reviewed regarding school-wide services as well as the parent involvement policy. Parents, as we know, are our best educational partners. Back to Mrs. Everett, who is the MTSS coordinator, explained that the benchmark testing for grades K through 5 are now under Power School on the district website, so parents can go in and see how students did in the fall testing. Analysis of our 4-year-old students in the pre-K program who went through kindergarten this year showed that 90% were ready for kindergarten. Statewide data on PSSAs indicated that 7th and 8th graders who had participated in a pre-K program back X number of years ago showed 80% advanced and proficient on the PSSA testing. This year, the PSSAs will be administered in April with a shorter window, which could raise some logistical concerns about student makeups. We also talked about the spring title night, which will be held in late March or April. We had some great ideas on parents sharing ideas, book fairs, possible art night, and a variety of workstations were shared by the group. Our next Parent Advisory Council meeting will be February 12th, 2019 at 6:30 p.m. And due to inclement weather on last Friday, the Title I meeting was postponed and is rescheduled for November 30th, 7:45. Okay,
Thank you very much.
What a good meeting. Thank you.
Mr. Answer, CCTI.
CCTI scheduled JOC meeting last Thursday was canceled due to the weather event that we had, rescheduled for tonight. So I'll have more of a report next meeting.
Thank you. Mr. Wentz, CLIU.
Also, the CLIU's the CLIU 21 is also meeting tonight. I'll have a report on a later date. The next scheduled meeting is December 17th.
Thank you. Mr. Holland, Buildings and Grounds.
Yes, we met 2 weeks ago. Also, under discussion was the middle school press box for the stadium. I am going to stick my neck out pretty long and hard on this. Yes, we will have a press box till next fall. I won't go any farther than that right now, but I guarantee we're going to have a press box for up there at the stadium. The high school, we had nothing to report at this time. the middle school, there's a sign as you go right outside the building where it says middle school. Very old sign. We looked into quotes, and Hawk Sign said they would definitely find someone to paint it for us next spring. Painting's faded. The Indian, Mr. Wentz and I saw a nice design of an Indian, and we voted and thought that that would be the best to go in that direction, putting a new Indian up on that wall. Also, the generator up there, 30 to 35 years old, so we asked for a quote before it dies. And then we had nothing. Elementary center, here's my buddy. The gym will be completed in 2 weeks. That meant this week it should be done. No, it's not. I'm sorry to report. Brian, do you want to help me out on this one?
Actually, it will be done this week, but we
It
won't
will
have
be done,
occupancy
yes.
the 30th, as the inspector comes back out to give occupancy.
Right.
I believe that's correct, Mr. Lamer?
Yes, at this point, we're looking at the 30th, we're trying to get them in sooner than that. They're finishing up the one coat today, and then another coat tomorrow, and then the flush out, and then it's up to when the inspector can.
Correct. And I did see them working on the floor, so I can honestly say, yes, there is activity down there. One thing I do want to thank people, and that's our phys ed people down there at the elementary center. Fabulous job, I think, working with the kids and knowing that they don't have a gym to go in when we have poor weather, I'll call them. And I can't wait for the kids to be able to get on that floor. Also, what a running space. And I just remember the different schools, because I worked in many buildings here. Phys ed rooms weren't even as large as this room here for 30, 35 kids to run around in. These kids are going to get lost when they go down there on that new gym floor. But I'm happy for that. We're top dressing our fields, and I love our groundskeepers because, again, thank you, Mr. Weatherman, and everyone else, because they just have not cooperated with our people so that we can get our fields ready for next fall already. I want to thank our grounds crew. I was out last Thursday, late in the day, and I looked at the grounds, and I looked at our parking lots. They were clean. When I say clean, they were bare. And I was more than impressed with the job, again, that our grounds crew does. So I want to thank them personally, that they did such a fabulous job. One other thing I believe, I don't, so that's the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Holland. Academic Affairs Committee, we did meet.
One second, there was in the Buildings and Grounds meeting, they were talking about a construction project on the press box. Is that what you're talking about, Steve? You're gonna build one, or
We're not building it.
who's building it?
The person that got the best bid.
Right, and that's what I was wondering. So the question is, this project, which was estimated at about what?
I won't give you a number because I don't have it in front of me.
Less than $5,000 or more than $5,000?
I don't remember, to be honest. It's more.
It's more, right?
It's
So
more, I'm sorry.
where's the threshold for bidding it out to the public? Mr. Fike, what's the threshold that we have to bid it out?
As of January 1st, I think it was like 19.5,
So
this coming year.
anything over $19,000 has to be bid
Has
out?
to be bid, over 10.5, has to be 3 quotes.
Correct. And this was over the $19,500 number? No? So it's over it's a 3-quote process. Okay. Did we get 3 quotes?
I haven't seen any quotes yet, so I think they're still in discussion stage, right?
What was that again?
You're still in discussion stage, I haven't seen anything on my desk yet.
Well, actually, Kyle was supposed to talk to you about where the funding's coming first, so.
Okay, I haven't seen anything on my desk
Okay.
yet.
Well, 3 is a minimum, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And we can
But one of
advertise
those
this very
three can be a no
expensively.
bid.
Say, excuse me?
Actually, one of those 3 can be a no bid, but you have to send out the 3 different contractors.
Right. So minimum.
So the answer is, it's in the best interest of the district to get more than one person to provide a price. So therefore, can we advertise this project in the newspaper to say, here's the spec, I believe it was designed and spec'd for free, so here's the spec, and entertain bids. You might even have a volunteer bid or manufacture this device. It's just it's a press box, right?
Right.
It's a stage.
But under, if your figures come in under the bid requirements in RFP, it's not a bid.
I'm talking about advertising it to let people bring a proposal more than just one person and then 2 no bids, or whatever you want to call it. We
If
want to make
that's
sure.
what buildings wants to do, they can do that. I'm just saying what they have to do is get a minimum of 3 different quotes.
How did you guys get your 3 quotes? What did you guys do?
I know, Joy, we went to you and you said we got some quotes. We asked, another individual.
Yeah, Kyle started off, he had reached out to several people, and I don't know where he got those from, or how he got the contact. I provided a contact, and then there was Rocky, and I don't know where
Right.
how that person got connected, but,
And let me say,
but people reaching out.
we've been doing this for over 2 years,
Doing what?
trying to get a press box.
Okay, I understand.
So, I don't think that, again, I'll stick my neck out, I don't see why we have to keep going out and re-advertising. We had 3 people, 3 individuals say yes and gave prices. I don't think at this point we have to keep.
We do have 3 quotes, but I don't have the number.
I don't think we have to keep going on this. We had the quotes, we just don't know. And Kyle said that once he would find out where the money would come from before we would go out and put it out for bids. So that's what
Like I said, it hasn't been on my desk yet, so I'm imagining it'll get to me shortly.
But we're talking about a very minor expense, less than $20,000. And it's a press box for the press. Did anyone even,
No, it's not for the press, it's for announcers.
announcers and people, that right, they're gonna announce the games and do their things, right? Did anyone even entertain, after the design was completed, to look for either A, donations, or B, sponsors that just say, hey, we'll get this done? I'm just asking from a businessman standpoint, did we look at it, or we just picked our 3 people at arm's reach and said, you put a number on it? Which it sounds like was the process. I'm worried about the process, because it's not just this $10,000 bid. It's the idea of a board having a process and a procedure that gets things done so it doesn't take 2 years, and efficiently, financially, so that those people don't carry that burden.
Academic report, academic affairs, we did meet on November 14th. Several topics under discussion was the STEAM immersion plan update by Ms. Volscott. We received a handout on that. The after-school programs at the elementary center and middle school, grades through 2 to 8 in support of the PSSA testing. Other things that were discussed were the district drug and alcohol educational program and the different programs that are geared toward different levels at each one of our, actually there's 2 for the elementary center, 1 for the high school and 1 for the middle school. We had an extensive update on the scheduling, and from Mr. Howell and Mr. Hauser, transition to conventional scheduling, which will occur in the 2019-2020 school year, and the transition from our block scheduling to that, and some of the challenges it'll pose, and some of the benefits that are going to be provided. The other update was concerning the ALICE training that has been given to, I would say, probably 90% of the staff at this point, which is from administration to professional to support to even part-time.
Any part-time individual and substitute teachers.
And ALICE training is related to training on how to handle tax situations. That concludes my report. Mr. Kraus is traveling, so will that be a LTRIC report. The policy committee did not meet, so there will be no report on that. Athletic committee.
Actually, hold on a second, Mr. Spur. The policy meeting was canceled by somebody. Do we know who canceled it?
It was canceled at the October 22nd board meeting.
But who, we didn't vote on that, so how did it get?
There's no policy that you have to vote on the canceling of a meeting.
Okay, so how did it get canceled?
By discussion.
Whose discussion?
The board had that discussion, we said removing it because, and making it a academic affairs meeting, because we did not meet with academic affairs for several months in order to have individuals here from the teaching staff. That date was also teacher conferences, so there was a conflict there, so we discussed at the meeting and mentioned that we would be moving the academic affairs to, I believe it's the 14th.
Yeah.
14th.
So when you remove a meeting that gives the people in the community the opportunity to address their government, you're blocking them from addressing their government. We held a workshop meeting that day. You did not, right, you did not attend, nor did you call in. I believe Rita didn't call in and you didn't attend, right? Okay.
Well, I think there was a number advertised to call in, and I had previous plans because the meeting was canceled 3 weeks ago, and we could not ad hoc schedule it because the only ones that would have been able to attend were the ones that thought the meeting was scheduled, which it was not.
Correct.
Which would have been not any stakeholders, it would have been your group that you knew of, but maybe not other people, so I thought it was probably inappropriate to have a meeting that had been canceled for 3 weeks at an ad hoc perspective. And also,
I understand that, but hang on, so it was advertised.
During parent-teacher
It
conference.
was advertised at the beginning of the year that it was gonna happen. You canceled it because, okay, somebody said it's canceled because of,
Well, there's multiple reasons it was canceled. Number one was we used last academic affairs meeting to go over the handbook. Or we would have had an academic affairs meeting in October, we did not. So we then used the November meeting to support academic affairs, which initially was supposed to be scheduled on the same night that the policy meeting had originally been scheduled for, but since parent-teacher meetings were going on that evening, it was pushed to a week later.
And
so policy meetings, if you have a policy committee meeting, you're the only opportunity for the people to address their government and change the policies and procedures within inside of our district. So the way you're describing it is the last time they had that opportunity, and it takes 2 readings, was July, September, months ago. So that means no progress can take place if this board boycotts the opportunity to create a policy committee meeting. By stopping
I need
that.
to say something to you, Mr. Bradley. You were the one who asked that the handbook meeting take place instead of the policy or academics meeting because you wanted it that day. The following day, we set it for October 3rd. The following day, you sent out a nasty gram of yours saying, how come we are going to have a meeting on the night of a football game? Because again, you got the date wrong. Because you spent too much time thinking about your next pontification and no time at all listening to what goes on in this room. You asked for that meeting to be changed. So don't put that on anybody else.
But that meeting blocked the policy meeting. You could have had it before or after. The fact that you did not allow a policy committee meeting to take place, even though it was advertised, stops
Mr. Bradley.
stops people from being able to have access to our government. That's the goal of these committee meetings. It's for those people within the community that have something they want to do, the opportunity to do that.
Mr.
That's why
Bradley, you sent that email out to the board again, thinking that we were being secretive about having the handbook meeting so nobody could show up, the stakeholders, the parents and everything else, on a Friday of a home football game, which was incorrect. But it'll be 2 months later, you decided to hold your own policy during parent-teacher conferences. Was that so the people and the stakeholders couldn't show up during those parent-teacher conferences? Because that's what you were accusing us of with the handbook meeting, but in turn, you had your own meeting during the time of parent-teacher conferences, which we attempted to make sure there was no conflict with. So I wonder, maybe, how that could come to us about thinking we were trying to set it up so people can't show up, but you then in turn have the meeting during, and no.
And I don't know how you can have a meeting by yourself. How do you do that? A meeting by yourself is not a meeting, it's a dictatorial
gathering.
Okay, I understand your concern.
And at the same time, hold on, at the same time, wait a second. So at the very beginning of the year, when you made these policy meetings and when they're going to be in the committee meetings, why would you then put student, parent, teacher meetings on the same day you had a policy committee meeting?
And we attempted to change it. I mean, they happened years ago, it was time to make the calendar, depending on the dates and things.
So it was a conflict from years ago? So my point is that if you need to move a meeting, you move it, you don't cancel it. That's my point. And as far as having a meeting, there's a quorum for a meeting. If I'm not mistaken, in the policy committee, there's only 2 of us, you and I.
3.
Well, now he's the president, he's just on every committee, he's not actually an appointed member of the committee. There's only 2 on this committee.
Actually, I think I have that.
At which point, we had half of us there. And you only changed your schedule after he canceled it.
He's
So
on the committee, he's on the committee.
he's
That's-
as the president.
No, he's on.
Yes,
the
he's on
committee.
as the president.
No, he's on as the committee.
Read your
member.
policies, Ms. Spinelli. Read your policies.
Read your handouts, Mr. Bradley.
I know what it says on your handout. It says that he's on the policy committee as a member, the president ad hoc. He's allowed to show up at any meeting. He can be on all committees. Just like the next time we have a personnel meeting, we better advertise it so that other members can show up.
Mr. Rice, athletic report.
Okay, athletic report. Our football team qualified for districts and unfortunately lost to Saucon Valley in the first round. However, our field hockey team won districts and went on to win several games in states until being eliminated by powerhouse Wyoming Seminary. The girls did a great job for us this year. They brought this town together and everybody back. And the nice thing is, we have a lot of those girls returning next year. So we look forward to seeing them again return as district champions. Our student athletes are now preparing for the upcoming basketball and wrestling seasons. And our Tri-Pride band, as always, is undefeated. Thank you.
And wellness committee report, Ms. Muhammad.
Okay. The Wellness Committee met on November 13th, discussed was the Backpack Buddies program, which is scheduled to go home on November 30th. 69 families have signed up for backpacks. Children in the elementary center are taking advantage of breakfast meals. Children are very accepting of the grab-and-go breakfast meals in the elementary. They also have hot items available in the cafeteria. Students in the middle and high school do not eat breakfast at school nearly as often as elementary students. Not quite 50% of the elementary students qualify for free or reduced lunches, while nearly 40% of the middle and high school students qualify. The menus were presented for December with many tasty choices available. And the elementary center lunches cost 40 cents for reduced lunches, while regular lunches are $2.40. In the middle school and high school, reduced lunches are 40 cents and regular lunches are $3.70. Lauren Williams said that additional children may qualify for free or reduced lunches. She has applications available for families. While students' cafeteria account, when students' cafeteria account funds go under negative $5, and that is when families are notified by phone or email that the account has a negative balance. Also, students in 8th grade have visited Blue Mountain Ski Area to become acquainted in ski day. Students were instructed in the types of clothing and ski equipment is needed to take part in skiing. Later this year, the children will be able to use the information during ski days in December. And that concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We move on to approval of minutes.
One question, is the wellness committee a board committee or is it outside this district?
It's outside.
Say it again?
It's an appointment. There's one.
So who controls the wellness committee?
It usually goes through our curriculum for the health and wellness.
But it's still within the district. It's the district's wellness committee.
Right, but we have individual staff members and parents and those who are involved in it.
That are part of that committee.
Correct.
As any committee can appoint anybody from within the community.
But it's
to be
not
part
a
of it.
board committee.
I understand that. It's a district-run government committee.
I wouldn't go now. I wouldn't say that.
What are you saying that it is?
It's just a group of individuals who committee who, review things as required and,
Do they make recommendations to the board?
I don't know. I can't say for sure.
Okay.
On to approval of approve the minutes from the October 22nd, 2018 regular meeting.
So moved.
Mr. Answer?
Second.
Mr. Wentz? Question?
I have a question for you, obviously. Mr. Filer, during these minutes, you had mentioned that the motion last month, K, did not pass.
I was wrong.
I understand, but relax. I perceive
I
that.
touched both.
I know. Well, there's two things.
There was only 5 people that needed to vote, we had majority.
I'm sorry, say it again?
There was only 5 people needed to vote to spend money, so they had.
Correct, we agree with that. The question was it a policy or a procedure that was changed?
I believe Attorney Schwab sent you several emails addressing this, saying that it wasn't a policy change.
It was not a policy change nor a procedural change, correct?
I believe that's what the substance of those 3 or 4 emails sent to you said.
Right, I just want to make sure we put it on the record. So we're saying that to authorize Larry Stern to hire Schwab directly in between board meetings is not a change to our policy or not a change to our procedure.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And then one other one I noticed is, it says on page 34, I just want to make sure this is written properly. It says, motion by Mr. Yenser and second by Mr. Holland, to approve the recommendation to hire the following employees in accordance with the respective contracts, funding through the general fund. Is that how you remember that your motion was placed, Mr. Yenser and Mr. Holland?
What were we?
You're on page 34.
As I reviewed, I don't notice any discrepancies.
Okay. Mr. Holland, is that what you believe it said?
Yes.
To approve the recommendation? So who made the recommendation?
It was a motion on the agenda.
Yeah, it's a motion on the agenda to approve the recommendation to hire, so that would be the personnel committee made the recommendation?
I can make recommendations to hire. Yes.
Okay, so who made the recommendation?
I did.
You made, okay. And then on the other one, did you make those recommendations as well, Mr.?
For hiring?
For recommendation for accepting resignations, hiring, part-time?
Those motions were
Professional
exactly the
employees?
way they have for the past, how many meetings we've.
I respect the dogma. The question is, are you making all of those recommendations personally, or is the personnel committee reviewing these and then making them?
No, personnel committee's not reviewing.
They're not reviewing any of these.
No.
What does the personnel committee do if we're not reviewing who we're hiring, who's resigning, and who's being fired?
So I don't think anyone's being recommended to be fired. That would be a whole board discussion.
Okay, so you have recommendations across the board. Who's doing these recommendations? You're doing all these recommendations without the personnel committee?
Sure, with the committees of the district and everything else, yeah.
Wait, which committees?
The committees that are formed, we have staff members that are on the committee, the interview committee.
I'm asking specifically about the personnel committee, sir.
No.
No what? Full sentence, please.
No to your question.
And my question is, does the personnel committee make recommendations to the board of all?
Not the answer, no.
Thank you.
Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. On the financial matters, make a motion and a second to approve the Lehighton Area High School and Lehighton Area Middle School activities funds for October 2018.
So moved.
Nellie? Mr. Holland? Questions, concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the payment of bills, general fund, benefits, payroll, debit card, capital projects, food service fund for a total of $6.7 million, $6,726,606.63. Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Ms. Spinelli? Questions? All those in favor of paying the bills signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the payments on the following projects from the corresponding construction funds for a total of $231,967.82. The Elementary Center for Barry Isaac, CSI, Lobar, and Phillips. Need a motion and a second, please. Mr. Yenser?
Second.
Ms. Spinelli? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the following reports. Budget and revenue reports, treasurer's report, general fund, capital reserve, capital projects, and food service fund.
So moved.
Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Holland? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the exemptions from the per capita and/or occupational tax per the attached list. Motion and a second, please. Mr. Holland?
Second.
Mr. Yancer? Questions or concerns? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the following bids on properties that are in the county's repository for unsold properties.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Yancer? Mr. Melly? Any questions? All those in
So,
favor?
hold on a second, I have a question, sorry. So, somebody is bidding on this person's property with this lot number, and we have to approve that bid because it's below the amount that they owe in their taxes, is that what I understand?
No, these properties are not owned by anyone, they're in the county's repository, they already took back the property, so the county basically, it's all the tax rolls and they have to.
So what's actually happening here? There's a person that lost their home or gave up their home or
Most of
something,
the time, it's like a little piece of land,
right?
someone did it once, they let it go for taxes, the county took it back, and now someone else wants that little piece of land.
And when they're buying it, why are we approving this?
It's a recommendation from the county, it's to get it back on tax rolls, because right now it's in the repository, which there is no taxes being collected on it or being added to it.
But we're getting part of this 250, or to accept this as part of the bid, or
That's to accept them to sell it out of the repository and put it back in the tax roll.
at that rate? So was this, were these properties auctioned by the
They
county?
were
or
auctioned years ago, and no one bid on them, so the county took them.
As vagrant property, or just left behind?
Repository property.
Yes, then someone finally says, I want it, and then they're asking us because we're part of that taxing entity.
Yeah, I mean, they might put out 40 or 50 properties and get 2 or 3 bids.
Excellent, thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to refund from the general fund the following occupational tax for 2017, amount of $122.50 for Albert Walsh, and occupational tax for 2017 in the amount of $122.50 for James Walsh.
So moved.
Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Ms. Spinelli? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I need a motion and a second to approve the continued use of the previous board-approved purchasing cooperatives, PEPPM. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
The answer?
Second.
Mr. Spinelli? Questions?
Do we have a copy of these contracts?
I can get you a copy. What happens in the summer, we added the annual list of cooperatives that we normally deal with, and they forgot to put on PEPM on that, so that's why I added it. We've used them in previous years, but there's certain things they can buy off the state contracts. But I can get you copies of those.
Do I have to file a right to know?
No, if there's something on the agenda, you get everything you want on the agenda.
Then, thank you very much.
Things that aren't on the right agenda, you file right to them.
Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to authorize the business office to open new accounts at TD Bank as recommended by the Finance Committee. Enclosure agreement.
So moved.
Spinelli? Second. The answer? Questions?
I'd like to say that it's so great that we were able to make this recommendation, and the business manager was able to go look at this. What exactly are we saving on this, or generating in revenue for this switch from just one bank to another that's more friendly?
Based on the rates last month, the rates have changed, they've actually gone up. It was about 120 to 150,000 per year.
And what is the, as a district, as a
Okay, I'll answer
district
your
director,
question.
I want to give that money back to them.
It will help
We earned it.
offset increases in personnel costs.
But if we give it back to them, it'll also save people from losing their houses. So rather than just offset an increase, we could actually cut expenses, like the solicitor's expenses, to offset that money. And here we can actually give these people hope.
And that's something to be discussed in the budget.
But just for clarification, this motion is not moving anything, this is just opening an account, correct, Mr. White?
Right, to start the process.
Thank you.
But those decisions will save this district money.
I know, but the way you made it sound as though we were moving money, and that is not the case. I just wanted to make sure we had clarification for everyone here.
Any further comment? Those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve employees 997 and employee 1068 to attend the Pennsylvania Educational Technology Expo and Conference at the Hershey Lodge and Convention Center, February 10th through 13th. At a cost not to exceed $1,750. Funding provided through the curriculum and technology budget. Motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Holland? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve employee 420 to attend the 2019 PDE Data Summit at Hershey Lodge, Hershey, Pennsylvania, from March 24th through 27th, 2019, at a cost not to exceed $1,100. Funding through the 2018-2019 curriculum budget.
So moved.
Mr. Holland?
Second.
Mr. Yancer? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve employees number 40, 1254, 1105, and 1656 to attend the 36th annual USA All-Star Track and Field and Cross Country Clinic at Tropicana Hotel, Atlantic City, New Jersey, from December 5th, 2018 to December 7th, 2018, at a budgeted cost not to exceed $1,000, and funding is through the 2018-2019 cross country and track and field budgets.
So moved.
Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Holland? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve employee 1231 to attend the 52nd Annual Pennsylvania State Athletic Directors Association Conference in Hershey, Pennsylvania, March 20th through 22nd, 2019, at a cost not to exceed $1,050. Registration, meals, travel, and lodging. Funding through the athletic budget for 2018-2019. A motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Mr. Holland? Second. Mr. Wentz? All those in favor signify by saying, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second. In the extended period between meetings over the holiday season, the business administrator and treasurer are hereby authorized to pay the bills of the school district in their discretion without further board authorization until its next regular meeting. Any bills shall come before the board at its first regular meeting thereafter application. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Yancer? Questions, concerns?
I'm concerned that we're abdicating our responsibility as a board to the very people that we're supposed to oversee. Does anyone else feel that way?
I don't believe you oversee me as treasurer. See as board equal.
Anyone else?
I thought you trusted Mr. Fike. You said he was the only one that you trusted. So if he says the bills are good to pay, what would be the problem?
I just want to know if we're going to abdicate our oversight, our responsible, our elected duty, to not do that job. And out of respect to Mr. Fike, it's our job to do it, we should do it, and then give him a great pat on the back. He's a wonderful guy and does a fantastic job. But without that oversight, you're putting this district and those stakeholders at risk. If there's a check and a balance in the system, we're the check and the balance. To abdicate that makes no financial sense, makes no legal sense. I don't know why we're giving up this responsibility.
I disagree with you, Dave, as I usually do, and that's all I'm going to say.
For me, it's not about a lack of trust, it's just following proper procedure.
Okay, any further questions?
The state auditor actually recommends that we don't do things like this because of the risks that it can incur. Because people are human and they can make a mistake. And the goal in our job is to make sure we find those mistakes prior to them. I'm sorry, I was talking. You can go. Go ahead. Sorry.
Do you have the documentation from the state auditor saying that?
Yes, we gave it to the board. It was in reference to the bus transportation as well. Okay, so I'll finish. So the idea is that you don't give up this job you're elected to do just to make life easy because it might rain someday.
Okay, any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Roll call vote, please, Mr. Stern.
Okay, this is on motion N. Mr. Stephen Holland?
Yes.
Mrs. Yamaha?
Yes.
Mrs. Reed Stadley?
Yes.
Mr. Wayne Wentz?
Yes.
Mr. Andy Answer?
Yes.
Mr. Joy Beers?
No.
Mr. Richard Belts?
Yes.
Mr. David Bradley?
No.
Mr. Larry Stern?
Yes.
So that's 7 yes, 2 no, motion carried.
Motion needed and a second to purchase ESGI 12-month license for kindergarten at a cost not to exceed $1,272, funded through the elementary budget. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Second, Ellen. Mr. Wentz. Mr. Tax,
Yes.
Mr. Tax, could you elaborate on this one? I know you're probably familiar with this one, correct?
What it is, it's with the kindergarten teachers and more of a tracking mechanism for them with their students for this current year. They're tracking with the data.
It's they use it for the month period, the what I need period, they use the information, so it's just an additional tracking program where those teachers can track the students and their progress, and then also they're able to share the information. We currently did a pilot, I believe, and I won't speak up very much, I believe 3 teachers.
Yes.
I think parent level piloted it, and it was very useful during the parent-teacher conferences. They were able to share information, so as the other teachers saw it, they requested that they use it for all kindergarten teachers.
Any further questions?
Just a note, on our paper, it says February 15, 2019, for the expiration date. Well, it's 12 months, just so everyone knows. That's it, thank you.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Here's now the appointments. Okay. Under personnel, I need a motion and a second to approve the attached list of candidates for the 2018-2019 substitute list pending clearances funding through the general fund. Go to the report. So the answer, second by Ronald. Questions?
Did the policy, or the personnel committee review these at all?
No.
Prior to the occurred? No?
No.
None?
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the athletic hires as recommended by the athletic committee and the extracurricular hires for the 2018-2019 school year, funding through the general fund. Mr. Wentz?
That's it.
Mr. Holland? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Yes, I have. Need a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to hire the following employees in accordance with their respective contracts and funding through the general fund. Numbers 1 through 5, Elizabeth Harris, lunchtime aide. Elizabeth Bachman, full-time paraprofessional. Karen Geiger, lunchtime aide. Mary Dennis, motion I made. Nicole Sharon, special education teacher.
So moved.
Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Spinelli? Questions?
Excuse me, Mr. Stern?
Yes.
Did anyone on the personnel committee review any of these hires, the need for these hires, or the specific hires themselves?
No.
Were they given the opportunity?
Were they given the opportunity to review them?
Review the need for them, or review the
They're
individuals?
replacements, they're not additional.
I understand that. Did anyone get an opportunity on this board to review the need for these employees prior to us hiring them?
No. No.
Not at all. And the personnel committee did not get an opportunity to review these hires?
No, these are done through interview committees in the district.
Were any board members on any of those committees?
No.
Wow, thank you.
So I have a motion and a second. Any further comment? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
The ayes have it. We have a motion and a second to accept the resignation of the following employees: Alyssa Bachman, part-time paraprofessional; Karen Geiger, part-time cleaner.
So moved.
Mr. Holland,
Second.
Mr. Nally, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the hiring of the following elementary before and after-school program teachers and paraprofessionals at the current contracted hourly rate of pay for 1 hour per person. Mornings and after-school, there are 4 teachers for the morning, 5 listed for after-school, funding through the Title I budget.
So moved.
Mr. Noe?
Second.
Mr. Wentz? Questions? All those in favor?
Mr. Stern, excuse me, would you add, through the title of the budget, please?
I did, I put it in the minutes. I said it.
Oh, okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, let's do the title on
All
it.
right, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the following requests for pre-approval of courses, program of study, continuing education through the general fund. Class for Kevin Bond, Simon Tack, and Patricia Everett. All those in favor?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, Wayne and Mr. Yancer. Any questions? Mr. Bond got there just in time. Any further comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to acknowledge FMLA leave for the following employees not to exceed 12 weeks. Employee 15, employee 1074, and employee 997. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
Mr. Holland?
Second.
Mrs. Spinelli? Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second to approve the recommendation to hire the following mentor for the appropriate teacher listed to the left of the mentor for the 2018-2019 school year. Nicole Sharrow, Brenda Crossley.
So moved.
Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Spinelli? Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. I'd like to take miscellaneous item A, 1 through 12 as a consent agenda item. I need a motion and a second to approve the following school enrichment journey requests, 1 through 12.
So moved.
Mr. Holland,
Second.
Mr. Yancer. Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Need a motion and a second that the board hereby approves the attached regular board meeting dates for 2019. Village of Peach. Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Valley? Question or discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Need a motion and a second that due to extended period between meetings over the holiday season, the superintendent is authorized to approve all school journeys, use of facilities requests, professional course requests without further board authorization until its next regular meeting. Mr. Wentz? Mr. Holland? Questions?
Again, this board is abdicating its full responsibility to an individual that it oversees. Is this just a standard dogmatic practice that's been going on forever, or is this something we want to review prior to repeating this?
This is a process that, we have done because the requests that come in may not be in time with the next scheduled board meeting. Some of the professional course is also too, if they end up having a situation where a course is canceled, they need to sign up for another course for lack of enrollment, then they have approval for that, and it may not be able for them to get it in time to be approved at the next scheduled board meeting. And facilities requests, they come in all the time.
But this is only a function of inclement weather.
No.
Okay, so then why is it,
School journeys, yeah.
so why, this is for the entire year you're gonna give this?
So if something comes in December 5th and needs approval for January 3rd, it needs to be the authority to approve it.
But this is only during the holiday season, so we're talking about a couple days.
6 weeks.
Yes, but it's above and beyond normal, procedure.
What is the holidays? What is the holiday?
It would be from our December 3rd organizational meeting to the January board meeting.
And why is there, you're saying there's no December meeting other than organizational on the schedule from last year?
Yeah, so you just approved.
Well, yeah, this is for this coming year. Last year, they did the same thing, they skipped the December board meeting other than reorganization.
Yeah, the board meeting December, yes.
Yeah, last year we had one on the 21st because it was recessed, and then we were able to meet, correct?
If the board decides to do that, yes, there is that.
All right. Can we add a board meeting for December, or what's the concern here? Rather than abdicate our responsibility, shouldn't we just do our job? And I'll make it a question. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you for reminding me of the parliamentary procedures that are good guidelines. I make a motion.
There's a motion on the floor.
I heard that. That's great.
Can we finish this one?
Not yet. Nope, you can't because I'm going to make a motion. Thank you, though. I make a motion we add a December meeting in for this board so that we do not abdicate our responsibility to an individual to which we oversee. Can I get a second?
I second that motion.
What about the motion that was already on the floor?
Take a look at open comments on this motion, and then, yeah.
Okay. So Mrs. Blanca, do you have that?
It's just a motion by Dave Bradley, second by Joy Beers, to add the December meeting to the board.
So that we do not abdicate our responsibility of oversight to the people that we oversee.
Say it again, so we don't abdicate
The responsibility of the board to individuals that we oversee. Thank you.
Any comments?
Are you doing
Well, I
that?
if you have inclement weather, you pull up another board meeting, because that often happens, and you're still back to having to satisfy this.
Yes.
So it's a moot point. You can always have another meeting, that's no problem, but if it's canceled, then what do you do? So you're back in square one.
And also, the motion, there was no date even sent, just the day.
I'm sorry?
There was no date established, just the hour in December, which technically we are December 3rd.
Any further comment?
I have a comment. So if it's moot that if we schedule one, which we can do in the next motion once we decide we want one, if it gets canceled, the board has the right to cancel. I mean, you guys canceled the policy meeting. You canceled other meetings. What's the downside of giving an opportunity, hold on, what's the downside of giving those people an opportunity to address their government one more time before the end of the year? Is there a downside?
Yeah, any comments?
Which one are you
The second one, then we go back to the first one.
Okay. So we're gonna roll call on, motion by David Bradley, seconded by Joy Beers, to add a December meeting to the board so that we do not allocate the responsibility of the board to individuals that we oversee. Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Rita Spinelli?
No.
Mr. Wayne Wentz?
No.
Mr. Andy Answer?
No.
Ms. Joy Beers?
Yes.
Mr. Richard Belts?
Yes.
Mr. David Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Holland?
No.
Mr. Larry Stern?
No.
So, 4 yes, 5 no, motion carried.
Back to motion C. We have a motion by Mr. Wentz, second by Steve Holland. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
No. No.
Six. On the motion, need a motion and a second to acknowledge the following student teacher for the spring semester 2018-2019. Kathleen Brady, St. Joseph University Elementary Education, Elementary Center. Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Answer? Comments, questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Yes, I need a motion and a second to approve homebound instruction for the following student, 53646. So moved. Mr. Belts?
Second.
Mrs. Beers? Comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion F, I need a motion and a second to approve the attached resolution number 18/19-06 concerning Kings Drive. Motion Peach.
So moved.
Mr. Wentz?
Second.
Mr. Holland? Further discussion?
Mr. Filer, which policy or procedure are we adjusting or changing with this resolution?
You're hiring a law firm to litigate against you for right-to-know requests. There's no policy being changed.
And the current procedure is we have a solicitor. Why are we hiring this one?
King's Pride special has an entire department specialized in education law and right-to-know requests. And quite frankly, Mr. Bradley, I'm kind of swamped with other school district right-to-know information. So we honestly don't want to be involved with it.
So am I the only one that's filing right-to-know requests, or is there other people file right-to-know requests within this district?
You filed a right-to-know request on that, I believe.
I did.
So you know that answer, Mr. Bradley. You are not the only person filing right-to-know requests.
All right, am I the only one targeted by this law firm?
I don't, what do you mean by targeted?
Well, it says very specifically that David Bradley's name is all over this document. And it's hereby appoints this law firm at $165 an hour as special counsel to the board of directors, which I'm a member of, regarding bringing legal action in response to the actions of an individual, David Bradley, concerning his right-to-know request. So is anyone else on that right-to-know request being targeted to prevent them from asking for right-to-knows?
Mr. Bradley, we have no one else on the right-to-know request that is filing legal action against the district. It's you.
Actually, you do. Right? For misappropriating the way that right-to-know requests are done, There's a legal risk of other
No, what I'm
individuals.
saying is it's for you, because you're the one who was filing all the complaints.
Hold on a second, I'm not the only one that files a complaint about this district's inability to be transparent.
Most recently, yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
Yes.
Actually, there was a determination from Barb Rose that was provided to this district. There was other people that have filed right-to-know requests that have been denied, at which point it's their right to go to the State Office of Open Records, in which point the State Office of Open Records said, yes, it's legally allowed, give Mr. Bradley his request, and then this district chose to go spend more money with Mr. Schwab to take that case that the state already said was good to court to try to block transparency within the district, costing the district thousands of dollars. Here you're adding another law firm, and I'm just curious, is it just me that you're hiring this law firm to fight?
Mr. Bradley, your civil action 182625, David Bradley. Civil action 172788, you are also included in that. Civil action 182674 is you.
Correct, and those were Larry Stern, but
They were not filed by, they were filed by you.
I know, I filed them at the December meeting last year against Mr. Stern, preventing those people from having a right to speak, including Mr. Schwab, who said, yes, they have a right to speak. And since then, this year, Mr. Stern is much better at, but still deficient in, his ability to allow people to speak. And therefore, instead of just apologizing, reading the law, and learning how to run a meeting, he enlisted our solicitor for tens of thousands of dollars, right? How much is it costing, Mr. Filer, for these defenses?
Again, I believe you filed the right to know request on that.
There you go, thank you.
But I do not know the number off the top of my head.
Thousands and thousands of dollars being spent, instead of just following the law and letting the meetings be open. After decades of not doing that, you're fighting it. Past presidents did not let people speak. They were escorting people out of here in the past meetings. And in this December meeting, when Mr. Stern did not allow those people to speak, he's at risk of being reprimanded for $100 fine, $100, for failing to comply with the State Sunshine Act. And therefore, instead of conceding that, oops, a mistake was made, where this district is spending tens of thousands of dollars from arrogant pride.
Mr. Bradley.
And now you're having another law firm.
I think you might have the arrogant pride, sir, because you could have dropped the lawsuit and said, from now on, Mr. Stern, please make sure you do this.
And I did ask for
Okay, no,
that.
you didn't.
I did ask for that. And not only did I ask for that in the case itself, there's not much we can do other than
Again,
get you to do this.
Again, Mr. Bradley, there's 4 issues sitting in front of me right now.
Correct.
All with your name on it.
Correct. So one is
How
Mr.
do you
Stern.
sit
I
there
will
and argue
explain
that
it.
it's someone
I'm
else's
not.
fault?
I'm not. I'm just making sure.
Me.
Making sure.
The fact that you
One-
can sit there and say that this is other individuals' responsibility. You filed these, correct?
Oh, darn straight, sir. Darn straight. I'm gonna make sure this district is transparent. I'm gonna make sure they follow this law. And if I can't get satisfaction out of the solicitor for being able to read and comply with this law, I'll take it to the court. I darn well expect them to make sure they read it. Now, here's the question. The 4 cases you're talking about is the first time Mr. Stern failed to allow people to speak.
It's not-
The second time, the second time was when Mr. Stern failed to let Mr. Wortman speak as a motion.
No, it's
And the
not.
third
He's
time,
incorrect.
no, I'm not incorrect. And the third time, that was August. The third one is a function of asking for Mr. Stern's and your emails, which I was already provided, and then you chose this email request you're stopping. So what are we hiding, Mr. Cleaver? We're gonna find out. And then the last one is the fact that Mr. Cleaver and asked Mr. Stern to have a special meeting to discuss changes to his contract. And that case was filed today, Mr. Cleaver. And that case was filed to prevent backdoor meetings between board members and individuals within this district changing contracts where that's a board responsibility. We are no longer, as a board, under my tutelage, going to make sure that we don't abdicate these responsibilities. And that's an individual. That's an individual of a board can stop this, right? And the signatures by the community that are asking for their rights to be not impeded upon is significant.
Thank you.
I need to tell you, Mr. Bradley, that
Wait, hold on, wait.
there's a big difference between transparency and tabloid sensationalism. You are in the habit of putting things on the internet, parsing them, editing them, using little snippets, taking things totally out of context. That's the reason why people don't want to give you anything, because we don't trust you. There are people, myself included, who value their right to privacy, not everyone else's need for Facebook fodder. I'm sorry.
As a government employee, as a government entity, whether you're a government employee, whether you're a government official, you accept that responsibility. And as far as Mr. Cleaver's concerned about emails, in our policy, it clearly states that emails and all electronic communications, there is no expectation of privacy. None.
But we're not talking about elected officials, we're talking about people, about students, about staff, about personnel issues, about private issues, not about my issues. For anyone who might be interested, I put my resume at the end of this table for anybody who wants to read it, because I can't get one from you. But I'm transparent.
I said it.
No, well, let me tell you something. I blocked your emails about 2 weeks ago. I don't get anything from you. Because if you ever manage to say anything truthful, useful, or positive, I'm sure there'll be somebody who will let me know.
Okay, I appreciate that. I did send it to you, so if you choose to communicate with the rest of your board, you could have that information.
I have a motion and a second.
Call the question.
Is that a roll call vote, please?
Sure. And this is for motion F.
Correct.
But before you call the question, we didn't get the answer. Is this only for me or anyone that files a right to know request?
Question was called.
I understand that, but we didn't get the answer. And no offense to the constituents, which I'd love to hear from, and I would like them to have the right to speak if Mr. Stern would give them the floor.
Earlier on about this topic.
Yep, if they could, but he's going to stop you from speaking, so please let Mr. Filer answer. Mr. Filer, is this motion only predicated to blocking David Bradley? And can the district use this law firm to attack any other individual, for instance, Mr. Simon Campbell, or Ms. Barb Bose, or anyone else that files a right to know request? Is this an intimidation factor, or is it just to try to intimidate me? I appreciate that. Hold on.
Disagree that it's trying to intimidate anybody, but it's specifically in reference to you.
So the board cannot use this law firm for anyone other than myself?
This is called risk management.
I understand that, but I'm making sure we understand the quote. Before we vote, we want to understand.
Good.
Can the board use this law firm against any other individual besides myself?
We already do.
We already used them. We approved them already.
One more time. You are authorizing this law firm to become special counsel to block an individual's right to know request by taking action against them in response to their action. So the question is, are you able to use, or are we going to be able to use this law firm to go after other individuals that file right to know requests? It's a simple question.
Mr. Bradley, it says right in actions by David Bradley.
Correct. So can this, I want to get it on the record, sir. I'm just getting it on the record. Can this board use this Gestapo-esque, there's your thing, tactic to go after an individual other than myself?
This particular motion?
Correct.
No, this particular motion is just for you.
Correct. I just want to make sure.
And you just asked me that. Why are you telling us?
I want to make sure that everybody understands that this board cannot use this law firm to attack anyone else in this community other than myself.
Mr. Bradley, I just want to make sure you understand that you do use this law firm for other activities. This motion is specifically tailored for this law firm against you.
Right. It's defending Larry on the December 4th violation of the Sunshine Act, alleged violation of the Sunshine Act, correct? Same law firm.
I think you might be defending Larry in both of those actions.
I don't know, I got so many actions, I don't know who's defending it.
Fair enough.
So,
We have a call question.
so, you can't use this on anyone but myself.
Motion passed.
Yes.
Okay. Mrs. Rita Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Wayne Wentz?
Yes.
Mr. Andy Ansel?
It's a shame it's come down to this risk management for the district. Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
I have to vote no because I think this opens us up to risk and misappropriation of funds.
Mr. Richard Belts?
No.
Mr. David Bradley?
I believe it requires 6 votes to pass, so I will say no.
Mr. Stephen Holland?
Yes.
Ms. Gil Malik?
No.
Mr. Larry Stern?
Yes.
Can we get a ruling, Mr. Filer? Hold on, let me get the camera ready. On whether or not this requirement of using funds will be required, and is this live stream? Did the live stream work or is it off? It's on.
Bradley,
Did-
so I've already clarified this meeting.
I understand.
It was incorrect last time, and I believe I brought that to all of your attention by 8 o'clock the next morning.
Correct.
So you only need 5 votes for the majority to spend money.
I understand that, but to this policy and procedural change to our
Not a
district,
policy, procedural change.
it's not procedural.
No.
You're not changing the procedure. What was the old procedure for dealing with someone that filed a
For
lottery to
law
no
firms, you brought it to the board and they voted on it.
Correct. So what was the procedure?
You brought it to the board and you just voted on it, or are in the process of it.
Correct.
Yes.
So that passes.
Yes.
5-4.
I'd like to take program A as a consent agenda item. Need a motion and a second to approve use of school property for 1 through 12. Need a motion and a second, please.
Second.
Mr. Wentz. Any questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Ayes have it. Full discussion.
We currently have nothing on Franklin Marshall.
May I ask a question? Did we have any luck with any of the advertising that was talked about?
No, you're not. The board said you're not allowed unless you filled out a paper and it's
I'm
against
sorry,
it.
I didn't hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I apologize.
I mean, I'd love to let you
Yes, sir, we
speak.
have no-
Hold on, wait a second. I make a motion that we allow Gloria to speak. Can I make a motion to allow Gloria to speak in reference to new business, old business?
I respect
on the
the chair's
thing?
decision. I respect the chair's decision. Thank you.
But I'd like to still make a motion to allow her to speak. Can anyone second this motion to allow an individual within the community to speak?
Second.
We now have to have a discussion on whether or not you want to allow Mrs. Bowman to speak and open it up to the floor.
Thank you. Excellent.
I respect the chair's decision. Thank you.
Any further questions or comments? All those in favor of letting Mrs. Bowman speak, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay? No nays. You may speak, Mrs. Bowman.
Thank you, Mr. Stern. Mr. Pike, do we have any movement on that piece of advertising that we talked about at last month's meeting? That's the only question I have.
Nothing on the free advertising, and I haven't found
Anybody?
a place to put the whole $500 yet that makes sense, so
Okay.
I haven't spent that yet.
Well, that's good information. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bowman. On the new business, any new business?
Yes, I have a business. I'd like to make a motion. Richard T. Rezadano was not only the voice of Lehighton Area High School varsity football for more than 14 years and a dedicated volunteer for the Franklin Township Athletic Association, he was attendance officer for the Lehighton Area School District. In that capacity, he was privy to at-risk students and was instructed in convincing several to stay in school and graduate. But his service to the community did not stop there. He held lifetime memberships in 3 separate fire companies and was a member of the Lehighton American Legion Post 314, where he served as chaplain for the Vietnam Last Men's Club. Red's parting words to all, with lots of health and good God bless you and yours, embody love and community and of his fellow man. He was a loved and respected member of the community in honor of his commitment to public service and volunteerism in many different aspects of the communities. I'd like to make a motion to name the new multi-purpose stadium after him.
Second.
Has anyone talked to the family regarding this motion? Only because I know there's times where recommendations are made for things and then the family, you know.
Yes, I believe they were contacted.
Does anyone have any? I know I did not know, that's why I'm asking. In addition to currently the track, he's already named after somebody too, so I don't know how that would affect the individual that the track is named after. That's on the document at the high school on the wall, I believe. The track is named after Mrs. Herman. Mrs. Herman, yeah, so that would. so-
I thought we talked about naming the press box.
Either way, I just want to know if someone talked to the family, because I personally did not, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I'd rather you talk to Kevin and Kelly.
I don't see how they would turn it down.
I know.
I think it should be, from an athletic committee perspective, that talks with the family and determine what process to move forward on honoring Mr. O'Donnell, if it's whether a plaque in the press box or something like that, because there's many individuals who have done a lot of different things for our community, for our educational system. And we don't want to slight anyone during this process. Anyway, Ms. Mahalik, I thank you for bringing that forward, and I know that was a very valued member of our staff and the community. But I think we really need to research and figure out what we're going to do as a whole before we can make a movement in this direction, to make sure it's, number one, the family has been talked to about, and number two, how the district itself can support other things in this nature moving forward. And I believe the best place is through the athletic committee to bring that forward.
And I guess, looking at this motion too, if we move forward with anything, I think we should designate someone, whether it be Kyle as our athletic director, or someone to reach out to their family, just to keep them informed of recommendation and thoughts that are being out there, and maybe even invite them to an athletic committee meeting as well, because I believe he announced all the games at the former stadium too, which maybe, you know, as a family member, maybe they would prefer something to that nature. And then also the discussion regarding the current track that's currently named after someone as well, not to overstep.
This would be the build, you know, the whole structure. You know, the track is one separate part of it.
There's a motion and a second, just to ensure
Mr. Workman?
I think in last month's meeting, I made a comment with Reg about the press box in the new stadium. Why can we not put his name on that press box? Okay, we can I cannot, because he was the voice of Lehighton for years.
Here.
For years, and he set such a standard. He set such a standard. And I would think to dedicate that press, I'm not asking for the bill, I'm not asking for anything. I'm asking for that press box to be dedicated because he set the standard.
And again, I think where no one's disagreeing with you, I just want to make sure that no one has reached out to the family to see if that is something that's my only, and that's why I said if we could maybe ask someone to reach out to the family for further discussion, which I would recommend Mr. Spots to reach out to them and see what their, you know, maybe they have a wish of some, you know, for something else.
Well, again, it's something that I would push very hard for, and I think that press box should be his name on it.
Mr. Schnell, do you have something to say as well? Your hand raised?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Can I say something? I normally don't speak on these, but I have a problem with new business motions being added. Under the Sunshine Law, they've made the rules that you have to publicly advertise a meeting, put an agenda out at least the day before. And by us adding things to the agenda at the last minute doesn't give the general public a chance to speak. Because people here, but not someone that would come here to say, yes, I think you should name the stadium, or yes, I shouldn't name the stadium, or what about my father, he was such and such. I really have a problem with adding things to the agenda without giving everyone in the public, not just the people here, but I know you're smiling, you probably agree, is that part of the Sunshine Law?
You're right, so I got a question for you.
Why don't you make a motion to put it on the next
Hold on,
agenda?
yeah, so that's what we're gonna get to. So you've been here for many years, correct?
Yes,
And I think other people have been here for even more years than Mr. Fike. And the way the Sunshine Act works is exactly that. You can't publish an agenda on a Friday and then hand it to the people and expect them to be knowledgeable. And only recently were we able to recognize that inside of our policy, all the pertinent data is now given to the public prior to the meeting. So they have a chance to show up if they wish. I have never seen in all my years of being here, any president running any board meeting to ever make these two statements. Is there any other information required prior to making an educated decision? And can we table this until next month to allow other people that may have interest in this to address this board, their government? I would like to start that practice now. Gail, would you like to table this, or would we like to request that Mr. Stern table this until next month?
I'm going to have a table, this, I can pass this on, and maybe we can add this to the agenda for next month.
But it's only his decision. His decision, just like when he makes a recess.
It's not my decision.
To table or not table,
No,
it
it's
is.
your decision to remove the second.
No, we're not removing a second, sir.
Table it.
Sir, we're not removing a second. We're requesting that you take the
Yes,
leadership.
sir. Yes, sir.
Whereas,
Can I request we table this for our next meeting? Thank you very much.
correct, and then the board, either by consent or by vote, says, we're gonna put this on the motion for next meeting, at which point we're golden, guys. This is how it's supposed to work. You're learning, it's amazing, it's great, love it.
Thank you, Larry.
Mr. Stern, didn't I not bring it up last month for it to be, as you said, Mr. Fike, about it being announced, did I not announce it last month? So why should it be, keep carrying on? Because everyone had ample time, and it should have been brought up about his name being put on that press box. I brought that up last month. And again, this is the second time now that it's being brought up, but shouldn't it have not been put there? On the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Wortman. Wonderful, and you are correct. When you brought it up, if this board listened to you, it would be on this agenda. And the fact that it was not, Gail tried introducing it. And the fact that we were boycotted from putting it on the agenda because the people don't listen is what we're fixing. Month after month, we're gonna get this fixed. We're gonna change the way this district listens to those people so that they have access to the agenda. Because currently, the only two people in this entire district that has access to that agenda is Mr. Stern and Mr. Cleaver. Even board members only have it through a backdoor means that we found in the policy called Director's Concerns.
I have the email here, I have the minutes from last meeting, including the email that you sent concerning Mr. Bradley, and I think the confusion lies in the fact that we were talking about the middle school press box. Mr. Schnell asked to name a press box after Mr. O'Donnell. We assumed it was the middle school since that's what we were talking about. Then Mr. Workman said no, he thinks it should be the main press box, the one at the football field. Then you send out yet another nasty gram the next day, which, I'm not going to read to you. And at the end of the minutes, it says, Mr. Cleaver said, could we bring discussion for that at the next athletic committee meeting too, to have discussion? And then Wayne and Ms. Wagner said, I'll email Mr. Spots tomorrow that we brought this up. Now, the motion is the whole complex. That's different. That's different. Tom is right. He did say it should be the new press box, the high school press box. But now Mrs. Mahalik wants the whole stadium. Again, that's why it's being pushed forward. Nobody's trying to kick it down the alley here. It's just a different situation.
Did the athletic committee review this at all? You haven't met? At all?
They meet every other month, so they haven't met since then.
So it could be months, like Mr. Workman saying. It could get pushed out for months, like policies. Right, every other month. I mean, it's pushed way down the road, all these things.
Yes, ma'am.
I have a question. If the family would approve of naming the stadium after Reds, do any of you disagree with it? Do you think he deserves it? Sure.
I don't think anyone's disagreeing with anything, I just think we're just
Well, I'm
discussing
just
it.
asking, is anyone against it?
I don't think anyone has said they were or were not against it. I think, again, the issue is, did anyone talk to the family about any of this, and the answer is no.
Just what a huge honor it would be for him. I mean, the press box at the middle school is gonna be around 15,000. And it's still not built yet, and it may take a while before that's even built. The other structure's already here.
I feel we're using Mr. O'Donnell as some sort of pawn here. Let's move on.
Yes, thank you.
So we tabled it?
Yes.
Rita, you think that a man who was respected by this entire community, that Mr. Workman said at the last meeting was an actual legend, I don't know, but you think he's being used as a pawn? Shame on you.
I think he's absolutely right, because Mr. O'Donnell was the voice of Lehighton. I've been in here for 57 years, 58, played athletics, know Mr. O'Donnell. There's many men, many women, many people are deserving of the allocates. No one's saying that, Ms. Bowes, but what we're saying is Mr. O'Donnell was known in this town as the voice of the Indians, the press box. Let's not make this political like we do with everything else, sunshine laws and all the other BS. Don't start playing games.
Excuse me, Mr. Tack, it was Rita that just said he was being used as a pawn.
You were using it as a pawn.
I am.
No, the board. Some people are using this as a pawn in the political. Don't twist it again.
You don't think that's twisted?
You twist it.
Yes.
Yes.
No, they. On the director's concerns, we need a motion and a second to review with our business manager to ensure our district is in compliance with the PA Auditor General Eugene Pasquale recommendations in reference to documentation required for department to properly audit the transportation reimbursements.
Just clarification, we are under director's concerns?
Yes.
I put this on the agenda.
I need a motion in a second.
Before we even go that far, I'm going to withdraw it because I spoke to Mr. Fike, and he said we're in complete compliance with Auditor Eugene D. Pasquale's recommendations after we reviewed this during our bill review. Thank you. But anyone else has the right to motion and second if they wish.
Need a motion and a second to have the policy review the ACLU PA Student Rights Handbook to develop a specific Miranda warning. A Lehighton specific Miranda warning. Need a motion and a second, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Just when we had our handbook meeting, it was mentioned by Mr. Bradley that I would get a list of schools that have this type of information or handbook, and just for the record, I did not receive any.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No? No.
No.
Roll call, Mr. Dwyer, please.
Mr. Wade Wentz?
No.
Mr. Andy Answer?
No.
Mr. Roy Beers?
Yes.
Mr. Richard Belts?
Yes.
Mr. David Bradley?
My yes vote says we want to bring this to the policy committee for review. So yes, I'll vote yes.
Mr. Stephen Holland?
No.
Mrs. Gail Mahalik?
Yes.
Mrs. Rita Spinelli?
No.
Mr. Larry Stern?
Yes, I'll review it.
5-4, it'll be brought to the policy committee.
We need a motion and a second to have a first reading to change school policy 226 on searches to read, no student or member of the public will be searched without first meeting all legal limits of probable cause and be given a Miranda warning. So moved.
Second?
My question is, how could we say this until we first come up with a Miranda warning? I mean, if we're going to take it to policy, if I vote that they're given a Miranda warning and I don't know what that is, I don't know how to deal with this one.
This is actually making a motion for a reading of a policy, not to bring it to the committee.
And a Miranda warning is a common warning given to anyone being searched.
I know what it is. I know what it is, Mr. Bradley,
Okay,
but
good.
what I'm saying is, if the Miranda warning itself has not been written up yet because policy is going to do it, how do I know that I want to say, yes, they should be given this Miranda warning when we didn't do it yet?
Right now, it's just, I will explain it. Right now, there's just a Miranda warning. Later, once the policy committee meets after 2 months and reviews it, if they want to make one Lehighton specific, they can make it Lehighton specific. They can either make it tighter or
So you're
looser.
asking for a regular
Correct.
police
A
Miranda warning?
A Miranda warning, yeah. Very commonly known within laws, giving the person an opportunity. Okay, just checking.
And again, as I mentioned even during the policy meeting, that by doing this will greatly put our district, our students and individuals at risk for potential major incidences. And as I said before.
How so, Mr. Cleaver? How so?
As I said before, by our current procedure, we have been able to work with local law enforcement and our school police officers to actually address some issues that have come out most recently in the community. And thanks to our procedures, has been able to get some of these individuals off the streets.
Any further discussion?
So, yes, so you're saying that by not giving them a Miranda warning prior to searching them, leaving them their normal rights that they would have in the park, at the public library, or on the street, you want to remove those rights from these students to give you more power? Is that, am I hearing that right?
Doesn't the public already have the right?
Again, we want to allow us the current procedures that are in place to be in the best interest of the safety of students and staff. So you could twist, turn, and say whatever you wish, Mr. Bradley, because where we're working now has been proven to assist and bring individuals to justice because of the process in which it's in place. I don't care if you agree with it or do not, I just need the board to know that changing that could put districts and staff and the whole entire higher education community at risk.
But it also will protect our students, as in the past it has occurred, where they were touched, they were frisked, they were searched, and they were asked to remove articles of disclosure. We're going to stop that process with this motion if it passes. Mr. Cleaver.
Again, that is your opinion.
Correct, and the whole idea of a deliberation is to have all those discussions. Thank you for participating.
I just want to make a comment, as an administrator in the district, seeing this on here, the discussions we handled, things like that. I've read the ACLU Student Rights Handbook cover to cover on numerous times. And if that's the basis, they also outline what reasonable suspicion is and why it's used in schools in that very book that would be used to then make this. So that same document is being used, as Mr. Taylor said, to, in my opinion as well, negatively potentially impact the district. It very clearly outlines in that same book why schools use reasonable suspicion and the benefits of to that have been explained before numerous times.
Thank you.
I believe it was on page 78 of that document that Mr. Cleaver provided, and not Mr. Cleaver, it was provided to the board, and it did say that reasonable suspicion was allowable to proceed with searches and those types of things, the personal property law for 10 people, so.
Thank you.
So we have a motion and a second for this. Change the first reading to include the Miranda warning and just give us an announcement.
And to clarify, the ACLU document was given to me by a constituent, and I was the one that shared it with the board, just so you know. And you are correct.
And that's not
And this is
correct.
definitely-
I read it
Yeah.
long before you came along.
Okay, great. And then the nice thing about it was, this is definitely more strict for the benefit of our students than what's in that as well.
Actually, C is more strict. So I guess it's the roll call with Mrs. Wagner.
Okay, motion to move the director's concerns. Ms. Joy Beers?
Yes.
Mr. Richard Belts?
Yes.
Mr. David Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Holland?
No.
Mrs. Gail Mahalik?
Yes.
Mrs. Rita Spinelli?
No.
Mr. Wayne Wentz?
No.
Mr. Andrew Yancer?
No.
Mr. Larry Stern?
No.
So 4 yes, 5 no, motion denied.
Motion D. I need a motion and a second to have first reading to change the school policy 226 to read searches of a student's person will only be done by a member of the same sex and only after notification of a parent, prior to removal of any article of clothing by the suspect, the supervision of a parent, or a Pennsylvania State police officer must be obtained.
So moved.
Second.
So with this motion, case scenario is Mrs. Holland is not in the building. We get information that a female has a gun in her purse. We shouldn't go address that situation and do that search immediately, right?
So when you're
So
telling
we
me
have to
there is-
contact the parent first.
If
We have to notify-
my son or daughter comes to school with something on their person, it's called to the office. They can't protect my child from harm or from harming someone else until they get a hold of myself or my wife.
According to this motion, that would be correct.
We're serious.
I don't know anyone else to put their child in that situation.
Exactly.
Not to mention every other child in the school.
Exactly, any other child in the school.
Absolutely
So you'll have a male, staff member lay hands on a female child.
Who's laying hands?
No one's laying hands on anyone, but I would love to have any member of the staff of this school district protect my child from harm if they have something on their person that could harm themselves or others. Absolutely. There's no doubt in my mind. What are we protecting our children from?
Themselves.
Yeah, and how do you know what they have before?
Not the way this is written, we're not protecting them from themselves.
How did they end up in the principal's office again? I missed that part.
Pay attention.
Any way you'd like me to be in the principal's office.
Right, so they did what?
Doesn't matter.
Somebody else,
Doesn't matter what they did to get there. When they're there, I would love for the staff and administration of this school district to protect my child and other children in this district. You're losing sight of the safety of the children of the school district. You move your own agenda forward.
my agenda
This is
is for
free. I'm done.
student rights is what we're looking for. The student to have the right. The same rights they have on the street, the same right they have at the library, the same right they have at the park. The child should
harm
have
themselves.
rights.
They've got the right to harm themselves.
They have-
Someone else.
One more time, they have those rights which were granted to them by the people that fought for this country. And they should be pulled into the principal's office and their parent should be called because this district is supposed to act in loco parentis, in the place of the parent, but only in certain situations. In this situation, we should not take that right away from the parents or the student. We should allow them access. And if I'm not mistaken, almost everyone in this world that I know of as a parent would want to know what's going on with their student before somebody decides to remove an article of clothing or have them do it. And they should have a supervision of either a parent or a Pennsylvania State Police to make sure a qualified individual is protecting not only that suspect, but the kids around them. Because otherwise, what you have now, Mr. Genser, is one student can make a complaint to another student, and that kid's in his room with his clothes being taken off. That's the situation we're trying to protect that has already occurred within this district.
Has not occurred. Your opinion, again, these.
Not at all. Rita even mentioned that the guy got frisked. Yeah, Rita, tell us again, Rita.
Okay.
Show us how they frisked the kid. I understand it. Show us how they frisked the kid. Show us how they frisked that kid. Now you're saying that no one got their clothing removed? You're saying that? Are you saying that, Mr. Cleaver?
Okay. So for motion D. We have reference concerns. Mr. Richard Belz?
Yes.
Mr. David Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Holland?
No.
Mrs. Gail Wallach?
Yes.
Mrs. Rita Spinelli?
No.
Mr. Wayne Wentz?
No.
Mr. Andrew Yancer?
No.
Ms. Joy Beers?
Yes.
Mr. Larry Stern?
No.
So 4 yes, 5 no, motion
In
carries.
favor of protection. Motion E, I need a motion and a second to immediately change policies number 903 to read, prior to the close of all board and committee meetings, a short recess will be called to allow the members of the public to place their names on the list for the opportunity to address their government, followed by a period of public comment for those on the list prior to adjournment.
So moved.
Second that.
Comments?
When you haven't followed proper procedures, this policy has to have 2 readings if it's a policy.
Excuse me, Ms. Bowman?
He said any comments?
No. He's asking for comments. This is on the agenda, so therefore you had your opportunity before the meeting. If you pass this, if we pass this though, you'll have an opportunity to speak at the end of the meeting. Whereas right now you would not. But prior to that,
Transparency.
if you want, I'll make a motion that Ms. Bowman can speak. So that we follow our procedures. Can I get a second on that? Actually, I make a motion that anyone in the audience can speak. Let me make a motion that anyone in the audience can speak prior to passing this.
Mr. Bradley, can you please honor the amount of time that is here? You sit there with a smirk on your face, you think everything's a joke, you're laughing over student safety just on the last motion. This process is not a joke, Mr. Bradley. You sit there, you make faces, you think it's funny. People here are away from their families, or away from their kids, and you continue to waste our time with the nonsense that you bring forward. So if you're going to do it, please do it respectfully without a smirk or a smile on your face, because this is not a joke. This is a school district trying to operate and function properly. Thank you.
I am gleeful that this board will give an opportunity to Ms. Bowman to speak, or anyone in that audience, because 8 places within our policies, it says, seek their input before you make a decision. And therefore, she just stood up and couldn't wait to join in and participate in her government prior to them taking action. As Mr. Fike said, these things are shoved down their throats on a Friday before a Monday. Show some respect. Let them have a moment to speak. And if your time is that critical, rather than participating in these meetings, that's at your prerogative. And it's the students' rights that I'm trying to protect.
My time is critical because the taxpayers are paying for this amount of time. It is nonsense. And again,
Yeah, actually, we're paying you to drive back and forth home too, aren't we, Mr. Cleaver?
Excuse me, Mr. Bradley? Excuse me?
I said, aren't we paying for you to drive back and forth home too?
No, you're not, again.
You don't have a reimbursement?
No, why don't you say you have my contract, why don't you read it?
Yeah. Know your facts, buddy.
I agree, all right.
Know your facts. You should know.
Keep speaking, I love it. Speak up. I learned something, I made a mistake. It's fantastic.
Can I have some order, please?
Fantastic.
This is not order. This is not fantastic. This is anarchy.
May I make a comment about the motion? There was a previous board meeting in which at the end of the meeting, Walter Zalmazovich had wanted to speak not allowed to speak because he had not filled out the paper ahead of time. And I think that this motion is on the agenda to give people a chance who, once they've heard the entire meeting transpire, they now have some input or additional thoughts, and this gives them the chance to share those with the board.
Thank you.
Please call the question.
I have a motion and a second concerning speaking without submitting documentation at the end of all board meetings. Need a roll call vote, please.
On motion E. Mr. David Bradley?
Are we calling this vote before we had that motion in a second to let these people speak about this openly, or did we miss that? We said we were gonna let Bowman or anyone else speak, hold on.
We didn't have a second on that.
We didn't have a second on it? Okay, my mistake again, I'm humble. I say yes to this motion, thank you.
Mr. Stephen Holland?
No.
Mrs. Gail Mahler?
Yes.
Mrs. Rhea Spinelli?
No.
Mr. Wayne Wentz?
No.
Mr. Andy Answer? Mr. Joy Beers?
Yes.
Mr. Richard Belts?
Yes.
Mr. Larry Sir?
No.
4 yes, 5 no, motion denied.
Motion and a second to accept free training offered by the PA State Office of Open Records on the application of the Sunshine Act right to know laws and the need for public access and public recording and a requirement to keep minutes of all committee meetings that fall within the Sunshine Act.
So moved.
Second?
Questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Ayes have it.
Can we get a roll call on that, Mrs. Wagner? I missed, who said yes or no?
7-2, Mr. Holland, Mr. Wayne.
Said no?
Yes.
Thank you.
Need a motion and a second by, where the district conceded the fight against transparency and zealously provides the district board and stakeholders with all available public information prior to being asked without a need for right to know requests.
So moved.
I don't understand that 100%, Mr. Bradley, could you please?
Can we get a second?
Second. Could you explain that to me, please?
Sure. This district creates documents every day. They're defined as what is available to them on...
Wait, that's not what I'm asking.
Okay.
Motion by A, seconded by B, the district conceded the fight against transparency and zealously provides the district board and stakeholders with all the available public information prior to being asked and without the need for RTK. So you're asking me to concede
The words concedes.
the fight?
It concedes. Concedes the
It's
fight
not
against...
what it says in my motion. It says, motion by A, seconded by B, the district conceded the fight against transparency. I don't understand that.
So we'll change it to concedes so that you can better understand it. Joy, can you make that editorial change, please?
It was Gail.
Gail? I know, who's Gail?
Second.
I motion, she seconded? Thank you. Gail, will you please accept that?
District concedes the fight against transparency. I agree.
Comments?
I'd like to make the statement, do you understand it now? Still don't understand it? Okay.
I concede the fight against transparency. Concede means I give up, right? Is that what concede means to you? What does concede mean to you?
Yeah, you're conceding that fight against a transparent district. Right now, we're trying to make transparency, and you're fighting it
So you're-
you are fighting this transparency at every moment. We're conceding the fight,
So you're asking me to vote that I'm
giving
doing
the
something
people.
wrong.
Yeah,
Is
you're
that
giving-
correct?
Correct. You're gonna give the
Okay.
people.
Then I'm no, just so you know.
That's nice of you.
Any further comments? Any roll call vote, please?
district going to supply information prior to being asked?
Excellent, thank you. So the district creates documents on a regular basis. Certain documents are available through the right to know request. Emails, financials, contracts, a myriad of documents are created, and they can be published on the web just like they do now after we approve them, because they are available to the right to know. Therefore, this district will save tens of thousands of dollars by giving the information to those people before they even ask for it, so that if they ask, we can just point them to the direction of the website. It's already been redacted, it's already been published, and it's available to them for which they can interact with their government. The term is transparency.
Redact every email, every document, everything.
There's no reason, hold on. There's no reason.
There is a reason.
There is no
It's
reason.
personal information security, there is a reason.
One more time.
No, David,
There is
you don't
no
have to
reason.
be, you don't
There
have
is
to be
no,
condescending.
the state office of open records and your policy state, there is no reason to redact that information contained within those things.
With an email.
And,
With
let me
an
finish.
email?
And since these documents are under the auspices of the right to know, we have a trained officer that will know how and when to redact this information to protect the privacy. I'm all about individuals' privacy. I am against privacy in government, sir. Thank you.
Since this motion was changed, is there any comment from the public on this?
I have a question. I mean, I have just, I'm thinking as the attendance officer for the high school, I have hundreds of attendance and truancy and legal and court related emails back and forth, medical documentation. I mean, that's just in my attendance file. I'm wondering whose job it's going to be to redact all of that, and that's a full-time gig right there. I mean, do I stop communicating with parents via email on medical matters and truancy matters and attendance matters? That's just one element of privacy.
Excuse me, Mr. Hauser, are you using individual students' names or their student IDs?
I'm communicating with parents.
I know, but are you using the students' IDs?
I'm not referring, I'm emailing Johnny's parent. I'm not saying your son, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm saying your
Why?
son, Johnny.
Why would you do that?
Because I'm communicating with the parent.
Okay, part of the educational process is to teach our individual government employees how to protect the privacy of our students, giving them their rights. It's an easy process to train, and we can do that inside of our district. It is very simple to do. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, my concern is litigation, potential litigation on that. I think you're putting more pressure on the district for harm's way. Thank you.
Any further comments? We got a roll call vote, Mrs. Wayne, sorry about that.
Okay, so this one's on motion G.
Correct.
Mrs. Gilmore?
Yes.
Mrs. Rita Spinelli?
No.
Mr. Wayne Wentz? Mr. Andrew Answer? No. Mr. Roy Beers?
No.
Mr. Richard Belts?
Yes.
Mr. David Bradley?
Yes.
Mr. Stephen Holland?
No.
Mr. Larry Stern?
No.
So 3 yes, 6 no, motion denied.
Need a motion
I'd like to
by,
make a motion to strike the balance of the motions under the director's concerns, to eliminate this circus environment that we created, which is very unproductive in any government environment.
I second.
motion to strike the remainder of the director's concerns. Any issues from the audience? Questions? Board?
I'll make a statement. The next 3 on the list are, we have the district solicitor meet with our Director Bradley and Director Mahalik and Director Beers to review the laws that pertain to the duties of a director, the Sunshine Act, and the Right to Know law in an effort to create a reference document to be used by Director Yenser, Director Spinelli, Director Wentz, Director Stern, and Director Holland while attending meetings or participating in committee meetings in an effort to add to the professionalism of the district government. The next one he's trying to block is that Larry Stern and Wayne Wentz be formally reprimanded by this board for accepting a meeting with the superintendent, after which, taking it upon themselves to changing the terms of the superintendent's contract without proper transparency, board approval, or compliance with the Pennsylvania State School Code. I'm sorry, just PA School Code. And the last one was that the supportive banners by public displays of our students' accolades be prolific and without controversy created by authoritarian regime. Thank you. Now, are we blocking those for a reason, Mr. Genser? Why do you not want to have a vote on those?
Well, my concern is that, first of all, my contract was not changed. So again, you're putting out more false information. So that's one of the reasons probably don't need to waste their time on it. And again, you spew these things out and you put these down. There's no backup for any of these.
No basis.
nowhere.
No basis.
And that's part of,
It's very
that's part of our
backward
policy.
attorney approach to, try to make a service environment.
There should be backup documentation in these types of things.
He's calling the PIAA this authoritarian regime.
Correct, and the PIAA is following PIAA rules, and if we want to change it, we should follow policy and run the change. So I stand by my motion.
As do I.
I believe
Because
the
I'm
PIA
not going to be told how to be professional by you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, the PIAA was ruled that they did not have authority over supportive banners and accolades of our individual students.
The issue.
Mr. Spots wrote an email and said they did not have that. He met with those parents, and that banner was placed back up.
We have a motion and a second to strike these.
And the people should have a right to speak, because it's a new motion.
I'd like to speak. On H, first of all, you are saying that we have several board members who are unprofessional, and I can comment because of your unprofessional behavior tonight, Mr. Bradley, as well as some other people. As for Mr. Cleaver, supported the fact that no terms of this contract were changed, so once again, you're providing false information, so why should it be recommended? That makes no sense to me. And supported banners and public displays are done through the, at each level to make determinations of what and where room is and what should and should not be displayed. So that, to me, needs to be discussed at various levels with your respective parties. So those are my 3 comments on them.
If you'd like.
I don't like.
I know, but there's it's public access. There's a docket number 183584 filed within the county court system that'll give you the evidence associated with the arrangement that Mr. Stern made with, and admitted to, with Mr. Cleaver. Thank you.
With many assumptions within it.
And the assumptions within it, correct.
No, false information, yes.
All the question.
And so this is the motion to strike the remainder of the director's concerns. Mr. Stephen Holly?
Yes.
Mrs. Gail Mahalik?
No.
Mrs. Rita Spinelli?
Yes.
Mr. Wayne Wentz?
Yes.
Mr. Randy Answer?
Yes.
Ms. Joy Beers?
No.
Mr. Richard Belts?
No.
Mr. David Bradley?
It's obvious those people wanted to speak on these motions, so I say no, we should let them speak. Thank you. Blocking them would be not be transparent.
Yes to strike, please.
5 yes, 4 no, motion carried to strike the rest of them.
Courtesy report by Mrs. Bose.
Actually, Mr. Holland, it was something you said in your report that I wanted to ask you about. You said that there was top dressing put on the fields, on the athletic fields, correct?
That's what I said.
What is top dressing?
It's a mulch.
Okay, is it made of anything specific, or is it fertilizer mulch, is it?
There's no fertilizer involved.
There's natural, like maybe mushrooms, like mushroom soil or something to that effect, but there's no like chemical or fertilizer. It's just-
Okay, I just don't know what processing is, and I just wanted to ask while I'm here. So, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bose. Next regular scheduled meeting is a Word of the Nation meeting on Monday, December 3rd, 2018 at 7 p.m. I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Bradley, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? 9:59 p.m.
Sit there with it.
Right. What happened to you last night?
We were there. That was real so good. They were going out there, and it was very loud.